Welcome to the Sunset Ballroom inside Flamingo, Las Vegas for the West Coast Cubing Western Championship 2025. We are excited to bring you 3x3 round 2. Inside the booth with me is Chris Mills. And Chris, I gotta say, first of all, it's a bit of an honor for me to be in the booth with you. Allow me to butter you up real quick. Here, 300 WCC levels. You're currently part of the WCC Sports Organization team. You're still top 100 in the world for 2x2 and one-handed, and most importantly to me, you are still the second fastest Chris WCC by average.
Yeah, I'm excited too. This is going to be a fun competition. This is my first time commentating a West Coast Championships. We've got so many top contenders here. Max Park, Dylan Miller, Brendan Dunnigan. It's going to be exciting going into this 3x3 round 2. Max taking the first round by about 4.4. But Dylan also getting sub 6 and had good potential for a strong average. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what these guys throw down in this round. Oh no, what's going on here? Right, Dylan Miller is on stream now. I assume this will be his first solve of the second round.
He was dealing with the yellow cross, and to the fast ring. A bit of a lock up on paper there. 759 is not happy with that.
Not a great start for Dylan. He's been getting consistent sub 6 averages recently, getting a 521 average not too long ago. He's one of the guys to look out to break the North American record average, the long-standing 486 by Max Park from 3 years ago now. I think the main pick to beat that is either Luke Garrett or Matthew Hoto Inaba, but Dylan, he's been tracking how many times he beats it at home since Worlds, and I think he's got a shot to beat it as well. Yeah. Jeremy on screen now. I believe he is local to Las Vegas. And it looks like we need to figure out our top down. Oh no, it's all right when they're solving. This is a good solve for Jeremy. Oh no, the PLL. His F2L was flawless. But the moment he got to last layer, I guess the nerves of a quick time made him start to lock up on the OLL and PLL there. Now we got Dylan coming for a second solve. Apologies, we've got some technical difficulties with Chris's mic, so he's going to be back in a second, but for now, you're stuck with me. We've got Dylan on screen. He started with a mid-5, not great for Dylan, getting a 5.7 average in the first round with a best possible average that would beat his current PR. Dylan is a white and yellow solver. There is a solved yellow pair, but it's quite difficult to work with. Let's see if he's going to go for it. Oh, big lockups in the middle of F2L, and it gave him a corner twist as well. What time was that? I think it's still a 6 with a corner twist. 6.65. He's going to be disappointed with that. It looked like he found quite a good start, but then locks up towards the middle of F2L and then had to deal with that corner twist, which seems to be a big problem on Dylan's cubes. He's probably set it up so it performs well for him at home, but then when he's at a competition and he's locking up and he's got all the pressure on, then corner twists are more likely to happen, and it happened there. Jeremy back on screen now. Got a 7 on the first with a rapid F2L, but a horrid last layer. Looking to redeem himself here. And that is a 6.26 for Jeremy. Good solve. I assume Max Park must have been put in another group. So I assume we'll see him a little bit later on. We'll get the top competitors spread out a little bit. Apologies while we try to get Chris back sorted. It seemed like everything was working fine. The moment we hit live, something went horrifically wrong. Shout out to the team. You can see in the background they're working hard to get the stream working for you guys. We've got Lucas on stream now. He has a sub-7 average, so we'll be hoping to get as many sub-7s as he can in this round. Solving on blue as well. He must be color neutral, or maybe he's blue only, which would be very unusual. I don't think I know any blue only cross solvers. Dylan back on stream, not the start he would have been looking for with that just a not great solve on the first and then a corner twist on the second with a big lock up in the F2L. Looking to redeem himself here. Solving on white cross. Strong start, bit of a pause in the middle of F2L. Clean into a V perm for your last layer. And a 546. That seemed like a very average solve for Dylan. Nothing special and even a bad PLL. And a 5.4. It's a strong solve. A couple more of those and he'll still be on track for a good average. But right now he's 7.65. 4.3? Hopefully. That rhymed. That's cool. Anyway, back to Jeremy. Started with that 7 and then a 6.2, which is a decent solve for him. I think he competes a lot with Max Park, and if Max is on a bad day and Jeremy's on a good day, he's even able to beat him sometimes. 7.3, not going to be able to beat Max Park with a counting 7 though, most days of the week. Jeremy, known as Cubing Fedora on YouTube, I believe. Always donning that fedora at local competitions. Back to Lucas, who placed first in Mega Minx in the first round just earlier today, which is his strong suit, but he is a sub-7 3x3 solver. And it seems like he is color neutral, yeah, solving blue on the last one, orange on this one. Not a great time for him, though. 7.6. Uh-oh. My battery has exhausted on my camera. Alright, we're gonna rock without that for now. Anyway, we're watching solves right now anyway, so it's all good. Dylan Miller on for solve number 4. He's gone 8-7. Oh, no, not 8-7. 7-6-5. So I think it's time for a 4. Last solve was very mediocre looking, and it was still a 5.4. Had some lockups, had a VPerm as well. Dylan, one of the favorites to win Western Championships. Looking at white again. It's X-Cross potential. It doesn't look like he's going for it. Going for a solid cross. Pretty clean into last layer, and that's a good solve. Is it a 4? I can't quite see. It is a 4. There we go. We've gone 7, 6, 5, 4. Just a 3 to go. The straight. That would be huge if you got a 3. Dylan was 2 to 3 quite a while ago and hasn't managed to get a 3 in competition since then.
All right, sorry about that, Chris. It seems like I'm back in the booth now.
And right. Back.
Yeah, how about Dylan with a 7, 6, 5, and 4? Yeah,
yeah, he's about to get a 3. He's going to get a straight.
Yeah, hopefully he gets a 3 here in 7, 8.
There he is, waiting backstage. Next to who I believe is that Nicolas Sanchez. That looks like Nicolas Sanchez's jacket, but I'm not sure if he's at this competition.
That does look like a very Nicolas Sanchez type of jacket.
No, I don't think it is though. No.
And let's see here, Dylan with a 574 average in the first round, so he has a chance to beat that here if he does pull off something better than the 489. Otherwise, he'll probably not be very happy with any average of 6 at this point.
.567 best possible average for Dylan. That would be a pretty strong average considering the start, counting a 6.6 after 2 solves. But I want to see the 3. I want to see the rainbow. If it's not a 3, it's got to be an 8.
I don't know if he's thinking that right now. Yeah, because a sub-6 average will probably put him into securely second place behind Max Park or somebody else who's likely to get a sub-6 average this round.
Solving on white again.
This doesn't look like a very good start on white.
No 3. I think that was a 5. 5.1. That's a good average.
That is a really, really good average. That was probably his best solve of the average so far, turning-wise.
And a 575 average for Dylan Miller after that horrible start, even with a corner twist on the second solve. That is a corner twist and a counting solve, and it's still a 5.7 average, which might even put him first in the round, depending on what Max Park gets up to in the following group.
Yeah, 575 is an incredibly strong performance, and even for him, if he's not happy with it, definitely at least going to be second in the round.
Yeah, I think he'll be happy with the way he finished that round. Managed to claw it back to the respectable average. That's back-to-back 5.7 averages for Dylan Miller at this competition, showing pretty consistent solving, although that average was very not consistent, but at least his averages at this competition so far have been consistent. Let's see if he can keep it up. Have we got 3 or 4 rounds at this competition for 3x3?
Since this is a major competition, I'm assuming it's going to be 4 rounds, so plenty of time for Dylan to...
It is 4 rounds, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of rounds of every event, I believe. Maybe not FMC. No, not FMC, but every other event at West Coast Cubing Western Championships. Although, I don't think they're on the coast. They're in Las Vegas. They're lying to us.
Yeah, they're in the middle of the desert. And you're right, there is no FMC at this competition, but we do have everything else. And I believe that the second attempt for the multi-blind final is wrapping up while they are doing 2x2. So we'll have to see how those results go.
Graham Siggins with 62 out of 65. Very close to world record. 1 cube off the world record multi-blind single. As
Yeah,
a very impressive performance.
I can't imagine that that's not going to be a winning time out of the 10 right now. I mean,
so he had 59 points, and second place had 11. So I think we can say he pretty comfortably won that round.
Yeah, unless some serious. It doesn't even look like anybody's attempting more than 35 cubes. So
no.
Safe to say that he's already secured the win. Does that mean that he goes for more cubes just to go for world record in the last round, or does he just stick to 65 like he's been doing?
That was his second attempt. So that's it for multi-blind at this competition.
It is. Okay, so
only 2 attempts.
All right, well, there you go. Graham Siggins, your West Coast champion for 3x3 multi-blind. Surely not a surprising result, but an incredible performance by him to get 62 out of 65 on the last attempt.
Yeah, as we said, 1 cube off Ro Hessler's world record. Really knocking on the door, trying to claim that back. It's not been too long with Ro having it. I only said it just a few months ago. But it looks like Graham wants it back.
I'm sure he does. I want to ask him how he feels about a 62 out of 65 because such a strong performance. But if he's going for a world record, he may not even be happy with that.
That's the same result as his former world record, but just a couple minutes slower. So I guess it depends what those 3 DNFs were. If they're just off by a little bit, that can be really frustrating. But I think he'll be pretty happy with that. He's not been on top multi-blind form. Had a poor performance at the World Championships, getting in the 34th place when he was expected to either win or come second. So on a bit of a redemption arc, and I think this competition's a good way to start that.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how many competitions Graham's been to since the World Championships, but it's always a little bit more motivating when you don't perform particularly well at a championship, and then you just want to keep going to these more local competitions until the next one.
So we've got more 3x3 round 2 coming up for you all, including Max Park, the former 3x3 world champion. Didn't have a great performance at the World Championships just last month. Getting I think he was 3rd for North America, just behind Matty and Dylan. So Dylan beat him at the World Championships. Is he going to be able to beat him at the West Coast Championships? We'll see in the next coming days.
Here we go, zooming in onto Brendan Dunnigan, who's probably either 2nd or 3rd seed for 3x3 in this competition. And Brendan looks like he's approaching Orange Cross. There you go, very smooth turning. Not a great last layer, but cleanly executed, and still a 598.
That turning was crazy.
He doesn't seem very happy with it, but I mean, 598 with that last layer is like otherworldly.
Good solve for Caleb Chan as well, 582.
He's warming up with a 2x2. Interesting strategy since 2x2 just ended. I wonder if he just had to go straight to competing after.
Quite possibly.
Here's the longtime cuber, Paul Mavi. He's been competing for quite a while at this point, and he's racked up some pretty good averages. 672 is a personal record that he set a long time ago, and I'm assuming it's something he would like to beat, although I'm not sure how much 3x3 he practices compared to big cubes nowadays.
235 competitions attended. That is an absurd amount. That's almost 100 more than me, and I've been cubing for over a decade now. 235, that's crazy. And unfortunately, that experience has not got him a great solve on the first. There's a 10+2. But hopefully the experience will help him push past that first solve and redeem himself on the coming solves in the average.
Yeah, that was tough with the RA perm plus the UAUF. It's something, it's a little difficult. You never know how to do that last AUF, and it's something that I've noticed, like, even the best in the world struggle to do sometimes with that UAUF at the end.
R perms are really some of the worst PLLs you can get. I think I think there's some G perms I prefer over an R perm. I really, really do not like them.
Yeah, I think they're just like completely mid, is how I'd categorize them.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, is this Sebastian Stone here?
Yes, it is. We switched off of Caleb Chan to watch Sebastian Stone's first solve, I believe.
Damn, he's got small hands, but he's
He does
a
have small
ZB.
hands. That
Cube
was a
looks
good
like
ZB.
very difficult for him to turn, but he still manages to do it.
Going back to Caleb, 582 in the first solve. He
Good
does know the Pi
ZB.
ZB.
Nice. Took the time to recognize it, as Pi is one of the hardest subsets of ZBLL to recognize, but really fast execution, and that's back-to-back fives to Caleb. And I think he had ZB on the last one as well.
It's a familiar ZB that I don't know the recognition for, but I know that
Yeah.
some people use it as a COLA algorithm, so I'm not sure if he skipped with COLA there or if he knew that that was the ZB.
No, I think you definitely know it. He took the time to recognize. I think in that case, it's just two different algs that almost every speedcuber knows. Just put into one to do that case. Here's Brendan. Started with a sub 6 with flawless turning on the last layer. Hopefully, you can get a better solution this time and keep up the turning.
He's looking at Y and it looks like it's a pretty easy cross. Oh, this is a good solve.
Ooh, commentator's curse right there.
I
was
should
looking
not have jinxed him.
flawless until the last layer.
It was a nice fat soon. Oh, low. So I thought that that was going to be it, but then the GC per man, everybody seems to mess it up. It's just so difficult for algorithm.
I love the GC.
I do too, but not with the algorithm that most people use.
Yeah, same. 6.5. There we go.
Much better recovery after the 10-15, or the 12-15 rather.
Yeah. Back to Caleb. He's been solving well so far, showing off his ZB knowledge, getting back-to-back fives. A lot of top speed cubers switching to the ZB method after Timon helped popularize it, and I think mainly Zhuanyi helped show the potential of full ZBLS into ZBLL, doing a one step for last layer on every single solve, and it's inspired a lot of speed cubers, me as well. I'm currently learning all those algorithms, and it looks like Caleb has been learning them recently, as he's been putting on a bit of a masterclass for us in this round.
Going for Y cross again.
And there's an anti soon. Wow. A bit lucky, one of the easier cases by the looks of it. But that's 3 5s in a row and all ZB.
And even the last PSL event, Ethan Jan used ZB to win the event. So ZB definitely becoming really popular, especially after so many people started using EO into ZB, just kind of like an intermediate step from from CFOP.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I feel about EO ZB being so popular right now, but it's kind of what you have to do if you're on your way to learning ZB.
Yeah, I only use it for one OLL or a couple of other ones if I know it's going to give me an easy ZB, like a 2 GLL or something like that. But it is a good way to get ZB cases more often in solves and get used to those algs quicker.
I've definitely fallen victim to using it a little too many times when I don't know the ZB, but it's a necessary evil if you're on your way to that, except I'm not sure if I'm learning all the ZBs right now.
Yeah. The infamous solve by Dylan Miller in Worlds Finals, getting a mid-6 where he did 3 look last layer. Did EO into ZB, did not know the ZB, had to turn his way through the rest of the solve, and it ended up counting in the average. Oh, not a great solve from Renan here. It seems like whenever he's got a a bad F2L, he's got a really good last layer, and vice versa. The F2L in his second solve was really good, but then the last layer was lacking, and this time it was just the other way around.
Yeah, that last layer case was really bad. He was left with both of the pieces in the slot, but definitely one of the worst last layer case or last slot cases that you can have. It's just unavoidable sometimes.
It's Sebastian Stone again. Kind of popped onto the scene recently when he got a really fast 3x3 single at home. It's kind of the first time I heard about him, and a lot of other speedcubers as well. But he's very fast at clock, and he also has a 4.0 3x3 single officially, I believe.
Paul with an 842. Once again, probably not very happy with that after he gets a 12 and then a 6. But yeah, I also heard about Sebastian after he got that 4 flat single. Definitely completely unexpected at the time because I think when he got that, he didn't even have a sub 8 average. But now he's completely past that. I mean, incredible progress for him, and I just really good at clock as well.
Yeah, I think he got a PR clock average in the first round. I think he got him second in the round as well. A very tough clock competition here. Brendan Dunnigan, who placed second at Worlds, he got fourth in the first round at clock, which is crazy. And he threw down some very fast singles as well. See if he can pull off something in the latter rounds. Here's Caleb. Is he going to do that HCB? He
Another
is.
ZB.
6.1. That's going to secure him a sub 6 average with one solve to go.
And he made that look easy.
Yeah, when you've got ZB down, I mean, it chops off a lot of time off your solve, and if you execute it well, it makes it look pretty easy. Ethan Chan does not have, as we mentioned before, does not have really fast turning, but because his solutions are so good into that ZB, he can quite easily get sub 7s turning pretty calmly.
And I think Ethan was able to get like the 3 fastest solves in the entire competition at that PSL event, even with his slow turning.
What was
All
that
another
PLL
8.
algorithm for Paul Marvey?
He
Know
uses
what it was.
the lefty back apron angle. Definitely a little more old school there. I think he uses it for both cases if he gets it. Here we go with Sebastian.
Sebastian's knocking on the door of a sub 7 average, currently sitting at 701. That probably is one of his biggest goals at competitions at the moment, I reckon. Ooh, a little bit lucky there, an 8.3. He's not happy with that.
Yeah, lucky on the LSL there.
Back to Brendan. Let's see if he can piece together a good F2L and last layer in one solve.
And he can make or break his average chances here on this 4 solve.
Y2.
And another F perm.
Ooh. Nah, that's it. Not going to be a good average for Brendan in this round. Just had lockups all around in that solve.
Here's Caleb's last solve. He's already secured a sub 6 average, but to make it even better, a 573 best possible average, but 597 is his worst possible average. Not a lot of wiggle room here.
His best possible would put him ahead of his coach, Dylan Miller, for the round. So I think it'd be pretty stoked if he could do that.
Has he beaten him in the round before?
I'm sure he has.
We go white cross again. A lot of F moves in the Pi ZD.
The start looked rapid, but then he later on the F2L, he had almost no edges oriented on the last layer, which almost always means it's going to be a tricky ZBLS. But it seems like Caleb Chen is using a full ZB in competition now. Very impressive. He had 2 Pi cases, an H case, a Soon case, and an anti-Soon case. So almost a full rainbow of cases you can get there. Very impressive showing, sub 6 average. And I'm excited to see what you can get in future rounds.
It's just crazy that he's able to transition to full ZB so quickly. It seems like he was able to do that just within a couple months, but there's hundreds and hundreds of algorithms you have to learn for that.
Yeah, if I get a case I've just learned recently, it's like a 10-second solve. So
It's exactly, yeah. Learning the algorithms and then implementing into your solve seamlessly is just two different beasts.
Brendan really
The
likes the almost flick U move with his left index, where he brings it to the front side and then flicks it like that. I feel like that's uncommon for 3x3 solvers. Generally, they'll do like a push move with their left index if they want to do a U, and he brings his index finger to the front and then flicks it, which is it's very odd. It seems to work well for him. He has crazy fast turning, but it's just not a finger trick that I see many other top 3x3 speedcubers using.
Yeah, the U move, and then he also seems to like the IDOs a lot. So just using one single move with one finger for the U2 primes. It's something that I like to do, but I'm also not a top 3x3 solver anymore. So he seems to be the only one that's able to pull it off effectively. But a respectable average for Brendan, definitely not something that he's looking for, but we'll see what he has to do in the later rounds.
But we've already seen two sub-6 averages in this round. Currently, Dylan Miller in the lead with a 5.75 average, starting poorly but finishing strongly. Just behind him is one of his clients, Caleb Chen, with a high 5 average using the ZB method. A very impressive showing from him there, although last solve just did not get some great cases towards the end of the solve there, so we got a worst possible average. But coming up, we've got Max Park, the favorite for this competition, I think most people would say, and definitely the favorite to become the Western champion. And I think he'll be coming up in the next group. I'm excited to see. What do we reckon we're going to see from Max, Chris?
You know, Max has so many Western championships, I can't even count them anymore, and he's still at the top of his game after all these years. So you're right in that everybody's probably thinking he's the favorite for this, but he still has stiff competition. I mean, Dylan has a 521 personal record average, which would definitely put him in a very strong contention. And if Caleb is putting down sub-6 averages consistently, it's also incredibly possible for him to win this too. We have Jeremy Bolenbuck coming in third place as of now with a 682 average. He's the only other person with a sub-7 average. So we're going to have to look out for him later. But so far, I'm excited to see what Max is about to do.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. I was just thinking, does Max even have a average faster than 521 in 2025?
That's a good question.
I'm not sure.
It looks like he has a 525 average last week at the warm-up competition in UCLA. And he had a 518 average in a competition right before the World Championships as well. But other than that, I'm not seeing anything close. Well, he has a 523 average in Long Beach and a 527 average in Burbank.
So it looks like 518 is his fastest average this year. So he is faster than Dylan for best average this year, but not by much. I think they've got very similar performances in competitions. Max is probably a little bit more consistent, but it all comes down to how they can handle the pressure in the head-to-head finals. Max has not been so great in those head-to-heads recently, and Dylan really showed a strong performance in the World Championship finals with only one mistake costing him for maybe the fastest in NA. And this competition's going to give us an idea of what we can look forward to for US Nationals later this year as well.
Yeah, both of those guys are just incredible turners. I mean, Dylan probably has the fastest TPS outside of anybody named Max Park in North America. And you know, the 521 average is coming after the World Championships, so he's definitely not slowed down his practice at all. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do, and it'll be interesting to see how their turning holds up in a major competition. But at this point, I'm sure that this is just another competition to them after they've been on the world tour at this point in their careers.
Yeah, and Dylan announced recently that he's going to be living in California for a bit as well. So we should see him and Max Park going head-to-head a bit more frequently, which is very exciting. It's going to give Dylan some more competition, going to give Max some more competition. They've both been dominating their respective regions for years. Dylan, obviously from Louisiana down in the south, He often has to go to Texas to get competition. Even then, he's only really got, I think Ryan Platt is in a similar sort of area. They go head to head a little bit, but Dylan almost always comes on top there. So to see him and Max Park at local competitions together will be very exciting.
Yeah, and especially coming to California, where we have competitions in the North Bay and in Southern California pretty much every single week. So he'll have no problem finding competitions when he moves up to California.
All right. We've just got a couple minutes before the next group, so I think we're going to go to a quick ad break. But don't go anywhere because soon we've got Max Park, hopefully taking first spot in this second round. All right. See you in a bit.
Hey, we're your SpeedCube shop. We are your one-stop shop for anything cubing or puzzle related and have something for everyone, beginner or pro. If you want the best of the best, allow us to lend you our years of experience and consider one of our premium setup SpeedCubes. Experts will dial in your SpeedCube by applying lubricants and adjusting the settings so that when your cube arrives, you're ready to start crushing your PBs. Have any questions? Our team is available via phone, live chat, or email to help get you on track. Tap the link to find your next challenge or upgrade and enjoy what we and many others consider to be the best shopping experience around.
If you're checking out this live stream because you have a child who has learned how to solve a cube and is thinking about competing, welcome. I'm Cube Mom, and today I will answer a common newcomer question. What do I need to bring to a competition? You don't need to worry about timers, scorecards, or equipment. The competition provides all of that. What your child needs to bring are cubes. Also, it can be a long day, so keep your child energized by packing something to eat and drink or buying something close by. And that's your Speed Cubing 101 today.
Let's go!
Want to learn more about the world of speed cubing? Subscribe to the Speed Cubing 101 podcast, available where you get podcasts, and Speed Cubing 101 is also available on YouTube. Happy cubing and enjoy the rest of today's live stream.
All right, welcome back to the Sunset Ballroom inside of the Flamingo Las Vegas for the West Coast Cubing Western Championships 2025. We're just getting started with the third group of 3x3 round 2, and in this group we're going to be highlighting Zurui and Micah, who you just both saw solve. It looks like that they're not incredibly happy with their first solves, 7 and a high 6. And for Zurui, he started competing in 2023. He's only been to 37 competitions, but he already has a 6.09 average, which is ranked just outside the top 100 in the world, as well as a 488 single. He hasn't competed since the World Championships in, I believe, July. So this is his first competition since then. We'll see how he fares as we're looking into Kyle, who also has a low 5 average of his own, looking to at least podium in this competition.
Yeah, Kyle, another one of the top contenders. Obviously, he's not a West Coast resident, being from Canada, but he could take the overall win. Or maybe not if he's got fumbles like that on ZBLL. That was very unfortunate. But still, somehow a sub-8 despite dropping the cube in the last step.
Yeah, the 660 average for him in the first round, I don't believe that's what he's looking for. He always seems to be looking for a sub-6 average. But we'll see if he can recover from that. That was a huge, huge drop.
Kyle's had some crazy results at home, some really fast times uploaded on his YouTube as well. And I think he's still waiting for that kind of outbreak performance at a competition. Sub-5 is definitely possible for him. And you could even say he could stretch to North American record average if he really finds his groove at a competition. But definitely not one of the favorites to get it, but still possible for him. But one of the favorites to improve his own North American average is maybe Max Park here.
Yeah, speaking of the North American record average, that's a record he's been holding for quite a while. He's going for Green Cross here, not a great OLL and the ARPRM that we were talking about, but still a 545. It's a great start.
He makes 545s look so simple and easy. Just a very basic CFOP solve with no pauses and no lockups, and 545. Max Park, what can you expect?
You can expect probably the most consistent turning that we've ever seen, in my opinion. Here we're looking at Zerui's next solve. He's getting ready. Such a young competitor. I did not even know that he competed until I was pretty much done competing. And all of a sudden, I'm looking at a lot of West Coast competitions, and this guy's just winning everything.
Yeah, a young prodigy from the West Coast, fast 3x3 solver. I believe he has a low 6-second average. Turning quite calmly, actually. A lot of moves in that F2 and a lot of rotations. Probably made some sort of mistakes, and a 9. He's not happy with that. Kyle has also made a mistake, and he's going to be canning that high 7. And that's an 11 on the second solve for Kyle.
Yeah, and for Kyle, this is only his second competition since the World Championships a couple months ago. He was putting down sub-6 averages pretty easily at his last competition, but it seems like he might be struggling to do that in the first 2 rounds here. And I don't believe we're going to be seeing much ZB usage in this average. We know that Max pretty much exclusively uses pure CFOP. Same with Kyle, and I'm not sure about Zerui, but I haven't seen any ZB so far.
I know Kyle's actually been learning ZB recently, so we should see quite a few cases from him.
That's a scary thought for somebody who turns as fast as Kyle if he's able to use efficient ZB solutions.
Max Park second solve, mid-5 on the first. Can he keep up the consistency?
Yellow this time. That was a pretty fast F2L. And an Elpram with no AUF of 508.
His former world record average 508. Just a clean, solid solve from Max. Nothing special apart from the turning and complete lack of pausing.
So still looking like a great solve here. And the Arpram once again with a UAUF. He's not happy with it, but the 641 is pretty good.
That turning in F2L was so fluid.
And even his last layer was pretty fluid. A good case for the Olo, but not the best case again with that Arpram that we've been seeing multiple times. Here we go with Zerui. And a bit of a lucky U-turn with a 576. He seems unhappy with it, but a 576, especially with that lucky U-turn.
Like a 6 or even a 7. It he made it look like a bad solve, and it almost looked like he gave up at the end of it. But getting a 5, it's crazy.
This looks like a better solve for Kyle. Another R-perm. He puts it down with a 511.
And some lockups there as well, making a 511 not look great. You know they're good speed cubers when they make 5s look bad.
Yeah, or when their reaction seems like they're not as happy with the solve, but it's still a sub-6.
I think for Kyle, that reaction's probably because he already knows the average is over, canning that 7 after just 2 solves.
It's a good challenge for him to see if he can still put down a really low 6 average after counting a high 7.
Here's Micah getting a 6.4 on the last solve. He's got really good turning in his F2L. PR average is a high 6, and judging by how he did on that last solve, shaking his head at 6.4, I feel like that high 6 might not be a great average for him.
Yeah, maybe the high 6 is something that he kind of expects, and if he's been practicing a lot, he's looking to get better than that. But we move over to Max Park, who I believe is on his 3rd solve. Going for yellow cross once again.
Just clean, flawless solving for Max Park.
It's a 466.
This could be a really good average for him. That's a 5.4, a 5.0, and a 4.6 for his first 3 solves. This could even be his best average this year, which is currently 518, I believe. Max Park is back.
As if he ever left when he was getting all those world titles at World Championships.
Yeah, although he didn't get the performance in 3x3, he still got second in 5x5. Not great 4x4 performance, but obviously World Championships, World Champion in 6 and 7, and runner-up in one-handed as well. A pretty strong performance. I don't think anybody got as many medals as he did.
And that was a nice G-perm to finish off the solve for Zuri, a 6.19. He's shrugging, but that's his best solve of the average. Here we go with Kyle. Already with what to him is probably the average is over, but messes up on the cross again.
Ewan to ZB.
There it is. The 763.
This is not going to be a good average for Kyle, unfortunately. That's 2 7s counting already. Maybe he can get a 4 on the last solve, and somehow that would be, I think, maybe a sub-7 average if he counted the 5.1, which is crazy.
It was the OG EOZB with that one. I'm pretty sure that's probably the most common case for people to implement EOZB.
But here's Max Park on an absolute tear this round. Can he keep it going? Low 5 average possible even after 4 solves.
He's going for white this time. It's looking good.
Bang!
Clean finish of 511.
What's the BPA going to be? A 495 best possible average. That'd be Max Park's second best average ever. He only needs maybe a 5.3 to get his best average of this year, and a sub 5 average is possible. And there's been nothing special this average. That last layer was quite horrible. Not great OLL into a G-perm. Full step every single solve, and Max Park is getting low 5s.
And it seems like you're right. There's nothing that's been that special about this average. It's just classic Max Park turning. He's not locking up at all. He's turning at his best. And even his worst possible average of 521 is better than the personal record for any of the other competitors here. So safe to say that unless somebody pulls off something crazy in the next group, he's going to win this round as well.
Yeah, Max Park, before this competition, people were trying to figure out who was going to win. Could Kyle win? Could Caleb win? Could Dylan win? And Max Park has really shown them, like, hey, I'm still here. I'm still cooking. Don't count me out yet. I can still get low 5s, even sub 5s, like it's nothing. And I'm really looking forward to this last solve. Max Park could get his second ever sub 5 average.
Kyle's last solve was 652. Obviously not going to be happy with the average, but easily going to make it into the next round, and he'll try to make up for it in the semifinals.
Damn, I think this is the best 3x3 solving we've seen from Max Park in quite a long time.
And you're right, it could be a chance for his best average of the year so far. And either only the second or third sub 5 average. Zoning in on Zerui's last solve here is 675. Now we'll see if Max can pull off his best average of the year. He chooses to go for green. And a bit of a lockup on the rotation there, and the +2 is 605. Still an amazing average for Max Park, 521, and that is easily going to be first place for this round. What a performance from Max.
You could see the nerves. He'd obviously planned something pretty good, and the start of the solve looked all right, and then just some horrific lockups in the middle of F2L. And even with that, a 605, although he did get a +2, I think he's going to be a little bit disappointed with the performance on the last solve, but he can keep his head held high with a 521 average, one of his fastest averages this year. And that ties with Dylan Miller, who's second seed's PR average. And yeah, he's going to easily win this round. That's the third sub 6 average for the second round at the West Coast Western Championships. And wow, that was exciting.
It was exciting. And yeah, like you said, 521 is the second seed Dylan Miller's personal record. So it's safe to say that Max is going to win this round. Just as an update, Max, with that 521 average, is securely in first place. Dylan Miller, who we just mentioned, is in second with a 5.75 average. Caleb Chen in third with a 597, boasting some impressive new ZB skills. Jeremy Bollenbach in fourth place with a 682 average, and Brendan Dunnigan in fifth with 695. It's been a lot of great 3x3 solving, and I'm excited to see what comes next in the final group, I believe, of 3x3 round 2.
I thought that was our final group.
And if it is our final group, what group that was.
But I think the next round we've got coming up is 4x4 second round, where we'll see Max Park again. Max Park, currently 4x4 single world record holder, lost 4x4 average earlier this year to Timon, and did not get a great performance at the World Championships for 4x4. So he's going to be looking to redeem himself with some sub-20s, if not faster. 4x4 world record average is one of the world records I think's the most up for grabs. Timon managed to steal it from Max earlier this year, which was a bit unexpected, but Sebastian Via, the current world champion, getting it back after 8 years. He's been the fastest 4x4 solver in the world at the moment, most consistent at competition, obviously the best performance in the World Championship final. He looks like he could take it back after many years. And Max, although we haven't seen the best performance from him recently, he did get a low 21 average in the first round with 2 sub-20 singles. And I think he could easily get back the world record average if we just see him lock in like he just did in 3x3. And he still holds the world record single as well.
Yeah, and Max, probably out of all of the events in this competition, 4x4 has to be the one that he can walk to win the easiest. His 1935 average is nearly 6 seconds ahead of the second seed. So whether that means that he's going for the world record because he thinks all the pressure to win the competition is off, or if that kind of mindset will mess him up if he's trying to go for the world record, we'll have to see. But nonetheless, we're extremely excited to see what Max is going to put down in the second round of 4x4. And really, this is just a competition for second and third place. We have a 3-way tie for a 25-second average among the second, third, and fourth seeds of this competition. And then behind that, there are 3 more people with a 27-second average. So really, it's just going to come down to who's going to perform the best to secure that second and third place.
Yeah, you're right. Max Park could win 4x4 at this competition in his sleep. Even though he's probably as far ahead in 6x6 and 7x7, those events have the consequences of being a mean. So one bad solve, one pop, or something like that, one messed up parity can really throw off your entire average because you don't have the safety net of the average of 5, where one bad solve is removed and one good solve is removed. But 4x4, yeah, I think Max could have his worst average in years and still comfortably get in first place. Not to put down the other 4x4 competitors, they're similar speed to myself. I've been practicing a bit of 4x4 recently, and I struggle to get even sub 28 sometimes. It really confuses me how people can consistently get as 20 or sub 20. I don't know what sort of wizardry they're pulling out there, but 26 average is looking like what you're gonna need to get on the podium. And I'm excited to see because Brendan got a PR single in the last round, so it looks like he's on form for 4x4 as well.
Yeah, and I'm with you on the consistency, especially for 4x4, which I would consider probably my second best event, and I'm still only averaging about 27 seconds. Even with something that seemed to be like it was going to break through in terms of 4x4 solving methods with OLL parity avoidance, it doesn't seem like Max or any of the other top solvers except for Ari are using, and they're still able to put down 21-second averages. But
yeah,
nobody else is seeming to use that at this competition, and it looks like the third place average, you're right, is going to come down to 26 seconds.
Yeah, OLL parity avoidance, it's for those who don't know, on 4x4, one of the last steps you have to do on 50% of solves is a long algorithm called OLL parity, which generally takes the top solvers just under 2 seconds to do. And there was a method popularized recently by Ari Randers Pearson, which allowed people to predict in inspection how they could change their solve a little bit at the start to ensure they didn't get OLL parity. And it was something that was quite difficult. You had to trace around a bunch of edge pieces, almost like it was 3-blind in inspection, and then keep track of how many turns or how many wide turns you were doing in the first few steps. And then it allows you to completely avoid that 2-second algorithm on 100% of your solves if you do it right. And it seemed like it was going to be the future. And everybody was doing it. I was doing it. Sebastian Vire was even doing it at some competitions. But I think the verdict that most top solvers came to is that it wasn't really worth it. It was a lot of work to only save 1 second on average. And it really affects how much you can plan in inspection, how fast you can turn at the start of your solve as well. So I think that's why most people dropped it. Ari Rounders Pearson still showing that it is viable, getting a few sub-20s recently, which is very impressive. But it seems like the method that's being pushed in 4x4 at the moment is these more advanced 4x4 PLL parity algorithms that we saw Sebastian Vire doing in the World's Finals, doing some crazy algorithms which made it much more efficient to get those PLL parity cases done. And I'm kind of excited to learn some of those myself.
Yeah, and the difference with the OLL parity avoidance as opposed to other parity avoidance methods like CSP is that you have to keep counting and keep track of everything that you're doing while you're actually solving, which is not something that you would do in other parity avoidance algorithm methods. And I think that's one of the reasons why when these guys are going so fast, it's a little difficult for them to keep track. As we see Brendan just spamming those sensors, it's really difficult for you to just keep track and kind of on the fly figure out what you need to do in order to avoid parity, which you may not even get in the first place if you're just solving normally. And yeah, as you mentioned, the PLL parity algorithms that we're seeing, that we saw Sebastian, I believe he used 2 of them in his World Championship average as Brandon with a 31.86. He's definitely not going to be happy with that. But in 4x4, it's always difficult to predict what times you're going to get.
Yeah, he got OLL parity there and also had some big mistakes towards the end of edge pairing.
And Paul with a 29.82, he's definitely looking to at least podium at this competition with a 25-second PR average. And the 29 is not something that he's particularly thrilled about, but if you had double parity, you can't really do anything about that.
Looking at the results from the first round, there's a lot of big jumps. Max Park with a 21 average in first, and then second and third, Lucas and Brandon both had 26 averages, so a 5-second jump up to them. And then from third to fourth up to Paul Marvey, it's another 2.5-second jump. So it almost looks like the podium's completely locked down and it's just going to be who gets second and who gets third. But that's in the final anyway. We're just watching the second round here. So it's more about if these top competitors can pull out some PR averages, if not North American, if not world record averages.
Yeah, and for Paul, if he wants to make that jump from 29 down to 26 seconds, it looks like he's been able to get a few 26 and 25-second averages this year. It seems to come about once every 5 averages for him. So if he's lucky enough to do that in the finals, then he still has a shot in order to beat it. And we know Paul is such an experienced cuber that the pressure is not really going to affect him that much. It's just about the luck with his parities.
Yep, Paul the second fastest, got the second fastest PR average going into this competition, but it seems like he competes a lot more than these other top competitors, and I believe maybe he's not quite as consistent, but obviously has the potential to jump up into third or second if he has a good round.
And what a solve that was for Kevin at 26. Kevin is actually someone that, we may be overlooking just because he hasn't been cubing as much recently, but he still very much is a good solver in every single big cube, and he's probably going to be podiuming at least in 6x6 and 7x7 still. And 4x4 is something he could easily grab.
Yeah, Brendan Dunnigan surprisingly managed to beat Kevin Hayes in 6x6 first round. Brendan getting PRs. I think it was a 122 mean, which is very impressive for somebody who just does big cubes on the side. And also, oh, no, never mind. Oh, yeah. Speaking of on the side, he was not solving his cross edges on the side, which is very odd. Almost all 4x4 Yao users will rotate So their white is on their left when they build those cross centers, and he was doing that in a weird orientation.
And we were just mentioning that he likes using the IDO U2. He only gets a 30.47 there, but he was using the IDO U2 even for his Olo parity algorithm, and that's a lot of IDOs that you have to use in order to do that algorithm. So Brendan definitely with some crazy solving style here, but it seems like it works for him.
There's Dylan, definitely not known as a 4x4 solver. I think his 3x3 skills carry him a lot in the event, but he still has a 28 average officially, which I did not realize, and a 23 single. So he's definitely not one to just keep out the race for 4x4. Obviously not something he practices, but because of his skill in 3x3 and also Megaminx, it makes 4x4 pretty easy for him to just pick up and get some top level times out of nowhere.
As opposed to smaller, shorter events like 3x3, I'm not sure if you feel this way, but sometimes I feel like I solve pretty much just as well in competition as I do at home for 4x4 and 5x5. I'm not sure if that's how these competitors feel, but we'll just have to see with their results.
Yeah, I feel like 4x4, I often get some of my best performances at competition. A few years ago, I got a 22.22, which is still my PR single, and that was overall PB at the time. I've definitely had overall PBs in 4x4 before. I would love an overall PB average at the moment because that would get me a national record, which I'm yet to achieve this year. And I made a bet last year that I would apply to be a delegate in 2026 if I didn't get an NR or a national champion title this year. And I'm yet to get that. So I've got to figure something out.
Well, I wish I was in that position to be hunting for national records and anything like that, but gotta count your battles, I guess. As you just saw Kevin get a DNF on a 31 there. He doesn't
Yeah,
see.
I guess competing in California, you can barely even hope for state records, eh?
I did it to myself. I chose to do the same events as Max Park, so.
All right, back to Dylan. I've actually never watched a 4x4 solve of his before, and it looks like he is also building his cross on before rotating, which is very odd. That is something I tell my coaching clients very much not to do. So I guess Dylan is not 4x4 is not one of his main events, and definitely not something he coaches as well. Whoa, what a 3x3 stage though. Oh, bit of a mistake there though.
Did he think he had Olo parity there?
I think he did, and you can see he's kind of laughing it off there because other than that was a really good solve.
And it's unfortunate too because he had such a short Olo case and he decided to start doing the Olo parity algorithm.
Yeah. Obviously, he just tried to flow straight into it from F to L, but didn't have it in the end. He's back to Brendan, not on for a great average so far, 31 on 30, but this is the second round. So if you're not getting a PR, you just need to get solid enough to make the final. And it is the top 16 competitors who make the final. And judging from the first round, you're going to need a 35 average. So Brendan's not going to be worried about that. Dylan might be. That's probably something if he got a bad average, he wouldn't make it. But he's had a 33 and a 30 so far. So I think he'll be safely in the finals as well.
The 27 for Brendan there looked like his edge pairing wasn't as good as the other solves, but he didn't get any parity, and that's what's allowed him to get a 27 here.
Paul Marvey solving on green here. I thought he'd messed up his centers, but then I just looked on the left and he was solving green, which is something that's very unusual. Got a bit of a pop there. Almost all top 4x4 solvers just solve on white or white and yellow for the first centers, but white for their cross. So it's very unusual to see solving on green, and it's going to be a great solve for Paul here. I think that lockup's going to hold him back quite a bit, and a 33.
Yeah, the lockup kills the solve, and he also got PLO parity there. And yeah, Kevin, we'll see if he's able to build on the 26 that he put down on the first solve. This looks like a pretty clean 3x3 stage for him. No OLO parity and PLO parity for another 27. That's very, very good for him.
You could be on for a pretty good average here, old Kevin. As long as he doesn't get another bad one, because he's got that DNF looming over him. But his PR average is low 27, and he's got a 26 and a 27 so far.
We're always rooting for the OG cubers, especially now that it seems like I've put myself in that category.
I'm definitely going to give Dylan some help for solving his cross edges on from that orientation. He had to do so many little rotations to look around for the pieces. He obviously does not focus on 4x4 much, but I'm still going to bully him about it.
Yeah, as a PSA to all of our viewers who might be looking to improve at 4x4. He almost DNF'd there. He thought he didn't see the PLL parity at first. That's always the hardest when it's in the back right.
Yeah, it looks like he was just going to get a PLL skip there and then almost stopped the timer. Luckily caught himself. That would have been the second DNF we would have seen in this round.
Here's Brendan, double parity here. He's still able to put down a 27. So it looks like he's locked himself in for a sub 30 average. Probably not super happy with what seems to be either a low 29 average or a high 29 average, but we still have one more round to go.
And we still have Max Park to go as well.
Yes,
we
probably
coming
have a
up in
different
the next group.
Yep. But as a PSA to all of our viewers who are trying to improve at 4x4, when you're using Yao and you're building your cross edges, try to build it with your cross color on the left and not on the bottom. It'll save you a little bit of time and it's something to get used to so that you can transition to centers better.
And it also gives you the ability to see more pieces. If we watched Dylan's last solve, you could see he had to do so many little rotations to try and find those edges. And there's just kind of more, it seems like it's easier to spot them when you've already rotated.
And if you're already rotating, then you might as well use it to look for some extra pieces while you're building what is probably the hardest part of the solve to look ahead into, which is your cross edges. Here we go with Kevin. A 31 that time. He's counting that because of the DNF in his second solve.
So no PR average potential for Kevin, but you can still get a solid sub 30 average in the second round.
It seems like with the solves that we're seeing, that might even be enough for second or third place so far.
Yeah, we've not seen a great performance in this round so far, unfortunately.
Here's Dylan. It looks like on this scramble, there's at least a white bar. It's always good to see. Although I'm sure that most scrambles have at least one bar. And he is really hesitating on these first two centers.
Turning so fast, though.
It's always a little hard to tell if he's solving the centers how most fast people would, but I also myself don't really solve centers the most efficient way, so can't really comment on that. And double parity for him into a +2, and that's going to be a 36-35 for his fourth solve, which guarantees at least a 31 average for him, I believe. That's the best possible average of 31.80, which a respectable average maybe in 2018.
Throwing some shade at Dylan here. First, we're criticizing his cross edge building, and now we're giving him slack for his times. It's all right. He's faster than us at 3x3.
Yeah, we have to have a leg up on him somehow. We're in the booth for a reason. And here's Brendan's final solve. It looked like he did EOZB there. At 26.43, that is his best solve. He's going to get a 28.42 average, which if we go over to the results right now, they have not been entered. So we'll see how that places in.
But that will put him in first so far. I don't think we've seen anybody faster than that. This is looking like a decent solve for Kevin, although his 3x3 stage is usually what slows him down compared to other competitors. Never really been much of a 3x3 solver, always stuck to the big cubes. But this solve is looking pretty smooth.
Yeah, and the peak to see the PLO there always slows down. It looks like another +2 as well.
Oh, no, Kevin.
Boy.
$29.32, still sub 30.
He's smiling about it. He's in good spirits. Looks like we're coming to the end of this group with Paul Mavi. I don't believe he's that happy with his solve so far. Once again, Paul is a green and blue solver, so it's a little difficult to see exactly what he's doing since both Chris and I are. I assume that you're white and yellow.
For 4x4, yeah, but I've solved. I can see what's going on. I'm
Okay.
color neutral enough in other events, so I can kind of keep up.
Another Jason Perry. 30-35 for Paul. And that gives him 29-28 average. Pretty good.
Chris, can you name any speedcubers that solve on blue only?
Blue only and not blue and green?
Yeah, just blue.
Absolutely not. The only blue and green solver that I can think of off the top of my head is Matt's Paul. And that, I don't even know if people watching this stream can remember who that is.
Kieran Vihan from Ireland, he solves on green only. I don't know anybody who's white only. I know a friend of mine from the UK, Jason Harley, he is orange cross. I believe Claudio from Chile, he is red cross only. We've obviously got dozens of white cross, but I can't think of a yellow cross only, and I can't think of blue cross only either. So if any of you in chat know anybody who is a yellow cross only or blue cross only, let us know, because I kind of want to. It's kind of interesting, yeah.
If you're into weird titles and you want to be the best orange or red cross only solver in the world, that seems up for grabs because red and orange seems to be even less common than blue and green. So
Claudio actually has the South American record single with a 3 and a sub-6 average. So maybe don't go for red cross because that's pretty tricky.
Okay, yeah. So is orange that we can't name a single person for, or is it blue?
No, I know a UK cuber orange, but I can't name a blue or yellow only.
Okay, so
I feel like there's definitely a blue only. I'm not sure about yellow.
There must be a yellow. I mean, some people probably learn on yellow first. In fact, I want to say that like Felix defaults to yellow if he can't see anything else.
Yeah, I know.
That's just what I gather.
Back in the day, when the first video I watched to learn how to solve a cube, it taught on green, and I think that was one of the most popular tutorials at the time. And then I don't know if you remember Red KB, one of the biggest cubing YouTubers about 10 years ago. He taught on a red cross as well, because Red KB. And I think some people solved on red because of that tutorial. Apparently Livia Kleiner only solves on blue.
All right, there we go. Livia, as far as we know, best 3x3 solver in the world that's on blue only.
Yeah, she's competing at Mid-Atlantic Championship at the moment, which I believe also has a live stream, but not as good as this one, so you should stick around here.
Absolutely not. And we just saw Paul Mavi get a 29-28 average. That is precisely 0.01 seconds slower than his previous round average. I don't know how he feels about that, but hopefully he gets a 0.01 second improvement in the last rounds. I believe we have one more group at least for 4x4 coming up. We haven't seen Max Park yet, who we are anticipating is going to win this competition unless some absolute shenanigans happen. And we'll see if he puts in a good bid for the world record average.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch some 4x4 solves from Max. Maybe I'll learn a thing or two, or just learn that I need to turn faster and look ahead, which generally is what you learn from Max when you watch his solves, because that's almost all he does. He just has no pauses, really fluid turning. That's how we got that 521 average in 3x3 round 2, just crazy fast turning and no pauses in almost all of the solves. And it's almost a little bit depressing when you're told, oh, just turn faster and look ahead. But sometimes that's all you need to get faster.
Yeah, and for Max especially, who's in the older echelon of cubers, is still turning as fast as he is, especially like I personally can't even practice for a couple hours before my hands start to give out. So I don't know how he does it. His hands are just better than everybody else's, and it seems like he's going to be doing this for the rest of the time. So looking in on the standings so far after that first group of 4x4 round 2, we have Brendan Dunnigan in first place by a healthy margin, a 28.42 average. And other than that, we have Paul Mavi with a 29.29 average, actually not 29.28. So 0.02 second slower than his first round average. And right behind him is Kevin Hayes with 29.32 in third place. Our good friend Dylan Miller is on the outside looking in with a 31.86 average in fourth place.
Nerio's on stream right now, having a bit of a yap with somebody over there. We love Dylan over here. He's a commentator on some live streams occasionally. I always love having a yap with him as well. He's got some interesting opinions to share all the time, and he always does great breakdowns for world record averages and the sort on his channel if you haven't watched those already. And he's also a coach, as am I. I'm also a coach. So if you want to get faster at cubing, you know who to look up.
Feel free to plug yourself more during the rest of the stream. Yeah, Dylan, interesting opinions, interesting solving methods. So we found out. I wonder who's going to tell him. Who's going to tell him?
Yeah, who's going to tell him off? I think, interestingly, we didn't see any other 4x4 methods in that round. Obviously, Yao is the most common, but some people are still using Redux nowadays. I believe Caio from Brazil, I believe, he is still using Redux and getting crazy fast 4x4 solves with Redux, which is insane. Some people opt to use Hoya as well, which has a lot of similarities to Yao, but nobody really using it at the top level. Yao is still the method to use. Robert Yao invented it many, many years ago and was actually one of the last top 4x4 solvers to actually switch to the method, despite he being the one who invented it. It's a little fun fact for you all. Robbie Yao still semi-actively competing in the UK. He came to the World Championships in Seattle recently as well. Not a top level speedcuber anymore, still quite efficient at FMC. I was going to say fast at FMC, but that's not correct. And he's a great guy to talk to. A lot of knowledge, and really pioneered the 4x4 event, offering the new method of Yao that now everybody uses.
Yeah, and I personally haven't met Robert myself, but absolute pioneer of the cubing community. We basically owe all of 4x4 solving to him after he was solving on virtual cubes and getting ridiculous times, and people were like, how the heck is this guy getting these times? And it turns out that he had a method that once he introduced it, I don't think anybody ever thought to switch back to anything else. 4x4 method for Yao might be the most common method of any event other than maybe 3 blinds, everybody using 3 style, but
yeah, but then you've got differences in 3 blind as well in terms of like buffers and AUG sets and stuff like that. But yeah, and almost everybody will tell you, oh, you're getting good at 4x4, learn Yao.
Yeah, I know, maybe somebody can fact check me on that if there's anybody willing to investigate every method out there. If Yao is by far the most commonly used method for any event.
I believe Pyraminx, it used to be V first versus top first, and now almost everybody uses V first. I guess Scube, it's kind of hard to kind of say a method. There's more AUG sets, same with 2x2. But now Scube, you've got EG as well, which is getting more popular. But in terms of AUG sets, I think, you even for 3x3, you got CFOP and Ru. There's a lot of differences there. I think probably 99% of speedcubers use CFOP, but you still see Ru every now and again.
Here we're looking in at Jeremy. He placed 5th in the first round with a 29.59 average. Definitely going to look to be podiuming at this competition. He's one of 3 people with a 27-second average as his personal record.
Yeah, and if he got a personal record average, that would put him in first, although almost definitely going to be knocked off by Max Park once he's competed. And I think we just saw Max move off there, so maybe we missed his first solve, unfortunately.
We'll have to see what that first solve was.
Here's a Lucas who placed second in that first round, although he is a Canadian competitor, so not viable for the Western podium. A rotations here moving into 3x3 stage. Solving on yellow, which is interesting. Usually, if we ever see people starting with a yellow center, they'll rotate to build their cross on white. So seeing somebody solve on yellow for the entire solve is interesting, but maybe he saw some preserved cross edges that he could save for his cross edge stage. And that's something I cannot do. I could not get color scheme right if I was solving on yellow.
It's a little more difficult when you have to memorize the color scheme. It looked like he was using IDOs again for the OLL parity, which I just can't imagine doing down a 4x4 with smaller hands, but people can pull it off, then all power to them.
Yeah, that's hard. I just tried it.
I mean, it's hard enough on 3x3.
Yeah. Another Canadian competitor here, Kyle. Obviously not known for his 4x4 solving, but he is still pretty quick.
Was
and
able
this
to
is a
get
quick
sixth.
solve as well. 26.
26. He was able to get sixth in the last round with a 30-32 average. But once again, I mean, this is just a total toss-up between second and third, between basically the 2nd through 8th seeds of this competition. So
Oh, definitely,
26.
yeah. I don't think it was Max Parker I saw earlier. I think it was one of our tech team who had a similar t-shirt, which threw me off.
Just adjusting the overhead camera, making sure everything's all right.
Here's Jeremy again, cubing Fedora.
I like the fact that it seems like at any one moment, there's always some cuber who's wearing a stylish hat. I don't exactly remember the name of the one who was wearing the fedora a number of years ago, but it seems like there's always somebody. Some crazy F2O here during 3x3 stage, and he's going to get PLO parity here. Fumbling a little bit on it.
Not a great solve there. But here we go. Max Park, his first solve for the second round of 4x4 at the West Coast Cubing Championships. Max Park, 4x4 world record, single holder, not getting great pacing at World Championship. But look at this start to solve. It's so fluid. No one else can solve a 4x4 that fluid. Straight into his edges, almost no pauses. This could be a really fast solve. It's going to come down to parities in the 3x3 stage. And no OLL parity, straight into PLL, and that's a 19 to start. That's crazy.
I don't think there was a single pause during that solve. That is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, Max, his look ahead, otherworldly. I really, really cannot believe that was only a 19.
Yeah, obviously he did get a bit lucky with no parities on the last layer, but that solve is faster than his North American record average of 19:35. So a good start for Max, but he's going to have to solve a little bit better if he wants to still get 19s with some parity cases as well. Because on most solves, you're at least going to get one parity. And most of the time, you're hoping for a PLL parity rather than OLL parity, because most people can do that in sub 1. And Lucas is solving on yellow again, which is interesting. He is a color neutral solver, I believe, which I noticed in the second round of 3x3, but opting for yellow on back-to-back 4x4 solves.
There we go with another IDO. Doesn't get parity
Good
there.
solve.
24.87. Outside of Max, that has to be the best single that we've seen so far.
I believe so.
Kyle, just incredible turning here on 3x3 stage, but PLL parity again, and he gets a G perm. So 28.82 for Kyle. That's after a 26, and so he's performing well so far compared to the rest of the competition in this group.
Kyle is opting for the R2F2 PLL parity algorithm, which most top 4x4 solvers do not do. They are more using the standard slice, inner slice parity algorithm. I reckon the R2F2 one is probably more consistent. I've kind of moved away from it recently, which I regret, because in my most recent competition, I had about a 2.5 second PLL parity on my last solve, which without that would have made my solve a lot better and my average a lot better, but it was still managed to be a PR average, but a little bit frustrating. So maybe I need to switch back to the more consistent R2 F2 alg.
Yeah, it's something I've been playing around with too, just figuring out the best way to execute PLL parity because I can't seem to get it super fast for any of them, but I might as well just go with the most consistent one. And once Timon got the world record average, because he also uses the R2F2 PLL parity, I figured I might as well try, but it's still a little bit difficult to get used to.
I think it's definitely at its peak. It's definitely slower than the standard. Oh, that was an HZBLL there for Jeremy.
Yeah, risky to do a ZB on 4x4 if you don't know if you have parity.
Yeah, he had to do a double check to make sure he didn't DNF with parity in the back.
That's something that Timon is so good at too, is even when he has PLL parity, he knows which ZB to do. That will give him, first of all, the opposite parity and the ZB case that he knows is going to be better.
Meanwhile, I'll do parity and be left with like diag corners or something.
Now we're talking about Max doing his best to beat his own 1935 North American record average. He hasn't gone the sub 20 average since then, and that's actually only his one of 2 sub 20 averages he has this entire year. At the warm-up competition last weekend in UCLA, he was able to get a 2268 average, which still easily wins the competition, but still seems like we're worlds away from 1935. So we'll see how he's able to do with the remaining solves.
Kyle onto his edges here. What we'll see from top level 3x3 solvers who don't practice so much 4x4 is their edges are generally really quick because it's a little bit more similar to 3x3 solving. It's almost like solving F2L. So they might have a pretty rough start to their centers and cross edges and stuff like that. But the moment they get to edge pairing towards the end of the solve, you'll start to see them turn really fast because the turning is very similar to solving a 3x3. And that's when they start to make up time.
I can definitely attest to that. My centers and my edge or my cross edges, not very good.
Here is Max Park back again. A little bit of pauses building those cross edges and these centers as well. But moving on to edges very quickly. I don't think it's quite as good as the last solve. Definitely not as fluid. Moving on to 3x3 stage now. It's going to come down to parities again. And he's got OLL parity, unfortunately, into a not great OLL and PLL parity as well. Although sometimes when you get those double parities, I think, well, at least I got it on a bad solve. And that, although that wasn't really a bad solve for Max, it was nowhere near as good as the last one and still would have been about a 21 or a 22 without parities.
Yeah, and he did the OLL parity into a not great OLL. It just happens sometimes, especially when you're going so fast. It's hard to, you don't want to pause and try and figure out what the best way to solve it is. You just want to go.
And that OLL there for Jeremy, he did OLL parity and went straight into soon, which was some good predicting from him there. Made it look like one fluid algorithm.
He was able to execute the Y prime pretty smoothly there too. I tend to change up my PLL execution for 4x4, maybe because my hands are small or I'm just not confident in my 3x3 finger tricks, but he executed that like it was a 3x3.
Yeah, I think my turning on 4x4 is very similar to 3x3, which often isn't great and will lead to lockups. You can definitely see that I'm a 3x3 solver based on my 4x4 solving. Some people look like 4x4 solvers like Max Park, and some people like Kyle or myself will look like 3x3 solvers when they're solving.
It's all right. I'm in that boat with you too.
And here's the edges for Kyle. A bit pausey here. Going to go on to 3x3 stage now. And he's moved it off screen. There you go. OLL parity into ZBLL, although he did just get the double soon case.
The 32-30 or 30-25 is pretty good considering the rest of the average. It seemed like he wasn't as happy with it. He was starting to move the cube up like he was slouching over, but he still got a pretty good case.
26 for Lucas there. I think he might be moving in to second seed behind Max Park, but ahead of Brandon. It's cool to see more people doing ZBLL, especially H cases as well. That's a subset I have learned just this week, actually. I was staying with my good friend James McDermott after a competition down in Wellington, and he taught me 2GLL and Diag in about 10 minutes. Because a lot of them are very easy and are just combinations from two other ALGs, and we both have good ALG knowledge. So he was just able to go, all right, it's this case into this case. I'm like, sweet, got it. And then I spent a few days drilling those and then a few days learning the remaining two subsets. But because of the way H is with mirror cases and stuff like that, it's a much smaller ALG set than some of the other ZBLLs. But here we've got Max Park solving on blue, and this is pretty fluid, almost on 3x3 stage. OLL parity again, though. 22. Pretty good for
good
OLL
solve.
parity.
And he's doing it on a different color too, which is just so impressive to be able to solve 4x4 on different colors like that.
Something interesting about Max Park solving is he does not do a double flick finger tricks. So he uses the same finger for both moves of a U2, which you'd think slows him down when he does OLL parity because there's so many U2s involved. But he does OLL parity faster than anybody else in the world somehow, despite having to use that left index finger an absurd amount. And I don't know how he does it. It's absolutely ridiculous. I could not even do OLL parity without double flicks within like 2 seconds of max.
Yeah, and it just makes his turning so stable, and that's how he's able to do it so consistently. But you're right. I honestly have no idea how he executes OLL parity so quickly with no double
It's almost like that left index just teleports back to where it needs to be after the first turn.
And like how his left index doesn't start to get sore after hours and hours of cubing every day, it's just ridiculous.
This is really quick for Lucas. Although a little bit of a fumble there in the middle of edges. Doing an ALG for the last couple of edges for edge pairing. 3x3 stages, a little bit lackluster. Into OLL parity with the fumble as well. Solving on yellow again. He's making me feel like he's a yellow only solver for 4x4.
You might be right.
Great start, but too many fumbles towards the end. But it's going to give him a best possible average of 26.6, which would comfortably put him in second. But worst possible would be behind Brendan Donegan.
Here we go with Kyle. This is his final solve, 28.02. That is going to give him, waiting for the time to be entered, a 28.93 average, which just puts him behind Brendan Donegan for first place, who Brendan has a 28.42 average. But he's going to slide into second place here. You're right, very respectable average for Kyle.
So coming up after this round, we've got Square One finals where Brendan Donegan, who, where did he place? Second or third at the World Championships. He will be looking to take the title of Western Champion with hopefully some 5s, if not 4s in the final round. He's got crazy turning on Square One, probably faster than anybody else in the world. So I'm looking forward to watching some of his solves.
Yeah, and like Max with 4x4 and the other big cubes, Brendan is pretty comfortably going to win this competition unless, Square One's a shorter event and the hardware can be a little iffy sometimes. So unless there's some shenanigans, he's probably going to win this event as well.
Yeah, he is, based on the first round, he's over 2 seconds ahead of second place. So something crazy is going to happen for him to not take home the win for Square One, but hopefully he'll give us a bit of a masterclass in Square One solving as well.
Here's Max with his fourth solve. He's solving on yellow this time. Very fluid again. Yeah. And he's already on 3x3 stage. This is a really good 3x3 stage, but OLL parity again for him. And no PLL.
That was crazy. Sub 20 with OLL parity.
Sub 20 with OLL parity is unbelievable. In 1964, he's counting a sub 20. I don't think he's in the running for a sub 20 average anymore.
No,
but if
he
you can get another
counting 22.
Yeah, if you can get another counting sub 20, though, it'll be a very good average.
If he had some better luck with his parities on these last couple of solves, he could be on for sub 20 average, but unfortunately, OLL parity in both his last 2 solves leaves him.
That's how this event goes. Do you know anyone who says that 4x4 is their favorite event?
I feel like Sebastian Weyer would say it's his favorite event.
Oh, that makes total sense. Yep.
But I don't know. I feel like most people prefer 5x5.
Right.
At least out of the tops, the top solvers over in New Zealand for 4x4, like Alexander Vucic or Angela Berganza, they both seem to prefer 5x5s or big cubes or something like that. But I think Angela might prefer 4x4. I think 4x4 was my favorite at one point in time. It currently isn't. And that was an interesting way to finish edges there for Lucas. Did two of those algorithms to solve two edges, but still a 28.
And we still able to get a 28 even with that huge mistake.
I think that's going to put him in second with a 28 flat average.
28 flat. Yep. Once Max Park gets entered, that will be second ahead of Brendan Dunnigan's 28.4 average.
And here we go. Max Park, 20.34 best possible average, which would be very quick for him. And considering the amount of OLL parities he's got, the last 3 solves have had OLL parity. The 24 had double parity. I think the other 2s were just OLL parity. So hopefully he can get a really quick solve like his last one and get lucky and get no parity to get best possible average. But we'll just have to wait and see and watch the fluid solve that is Max Park.
Solving on yellow once again, it looks like. Yes. Not the fastest edges. But no OLL parity this time, PLL parity, and a V perm.
21. That is a very strong average for Max Park. I think that's going to be low 21, probably similar to his first round average. Going to be ahead of the competition by over 6 seconds, I believe, which is absolutely ridiculous. And that is 21.2, 0.1 slower than his first round of 21.1, but still pretty quick. And I think a better than average for Max Park's 4x4 competition performance.
Yeah, multiple 21s is very respectable, and obviously that's going to get him the win pretty easily. And I'm sure he's happy about that after getting a 23 average in the finals of World Championships a couple months ago.
Yeah. All right, I think we're going to maybe have a couple last solvers, and then we'll have probably a bit of a break as they set up for the Square One finals. I don't believe we have any more groups for 4x4 second round as we're seeing Max Park now.
Yep, and Square One's going to be the first of 5 finals that we'll be covering today. Afterwards will be Clock, and then 6x6 followed by Megaminx, and we're going to finish off the day with 5x5.
Yes, although Square One will be the only final I'm commentating because I actually have to go to work after that final, unfortunately. So I'll try and sneakily watch it at work, but unfortunately I won't be able to commentate. But you will see me again tomorrow afternoon for the main finals, which I'm very excited for. 3x3 finals especially. That's going to be a tight competition, and it will be head-to-head as well. Always fun to watch a head-to-head final at these WCA competitions. I cannot wait. Sometimes people get outstanding performances in a head-to-head, and then sometimes even your top competitors can falter under the pressure. I'm definitely one to always choke in a head-to-head final. I don't know about you, Chris.
I don't think I've podiumed. I think I've only podiumed once in maybe a handful of head-to-head finals, so I feel you on that, where the pressure definitely gets to me.
Yeah, the pressure is so much different. It's so much different atmosphere in a head-to-head final, and you don't get much time to practice for them as well, because most people only get a couple of head-to-head finals a year, if that. Especially, most places only do it for national championships or maybe state championships and stuff like that. So it's hard to get used to them. I've done a fair few of them now, but still waiting to get a good performance in a head-to-head final at like one of my own national championships. I think Dylan is one who has struggled in head-to-head finals before and struggled to even make some finals as well. And it seems like he's broken that curse with his performance in the World Championships. So maybe he'll pull out something better tomorrow. Caleb Chen, unfortunately, did not make even the semi-finals at World Championships. So he's going to be looking to redeem himself by first making the finals and then hopefully getting on the podium, if not better. But that is all tomorrow. And today we've still got some very exciting rounds. Square one is going to be next. It's going to be all Brendan Dunnigan. It's going to be very surprising if he does not win. But I'm just excited to see him throw down some quick times. But then after that, we've got clock finals, which is going to be insanely quick and insanely tight as well. Fine margins in clock at the top level. One DNF at the start of the round can really throw a spanner in your works and make you a little bit worried about getting a DNF average. So I think that's probably going to be the highlight of the night.
Yeah, and for everybody just joining us, we're about to start Square One Finals. This is going to be highlighted by Brendan Dunnigan, who easily won the first round and is probably, barring some crazy stuff happening, is going to win this final. He won the first round with a 598 average, and followed by Calvin Nielsen with an 814 average, and Benjamin Goschalk in the third place with an 839 average. We're excited to bring you Square One Finals coming up soon, and we'll see you right after this break.
Hey, we're your Speedcube shop. We are your one-stop shop for anything cubing or puzzle related and have something for everyone,
Nice.
beginner or pro. If you want the best of the best, allow us to lend you our years of experience and consider one of our premium setup Speedcubes. Our team of experts will dial in your Speedcube by applying lubricants and adjusting the settings so that when your cube arrives, you're ready to start crushing your PBs. Have any questions? Our team is available via phone, live chat, or email to help get you on track. Tap the link to find your next challenge or upgrade and enjoy what we and many others consider to be the best shopping experience around.
Cubers Live is your home for all things speed cubing. From exclusive interviews with top cubers and personalities,
Dylan Miller, Maddie Nava, Tommy Cherry,
to highlights from major competitions such as US Nationals, North American Championships, and the WCA World Championship, to podcasts you can listen to while commuting, studying, or even cubing, and of course, live streams from all around the Western region. If you'd like to support our efforts to make speed cubing exciting and accessible like never before, consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. Thanks, and enjoy the rest of the broadcast.
If you're checking out this live stream because you have a child who has learned how to solve a cube and is thinking about competing, welcome. I'm Cube Mom, and today I will answer a common newcomer question. What do I need to bring to a competition? You don't need to worry about timers, scorecards, or equipment. The competition provides all of that. What your child needs to bring are cubes. Also, it can be a long day, so keep your child energized by packing something to eat and drink or buying something close by. And that's your Speed Cubing 101 today.
Let's go!
Want to
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Sunset Ballroom inside the Flamingo Las Vegas for the West Coast Cubing Western Championship 2025. We're just about ready to start with the first final of the day. This is Square One Finals. This is the top 16 competitors from round one, highlighted by Brendan Dunnigan, who won the first round pretty handedly, followed by Calvin Nielsen, Benjamin Gottschalk, Alex Bohawk, Kian Kline, Michael Young, Drake Richard, Alessandro Diamampo, Andrew French, Graham Siggins, Cade Beck, Michael Larson, Paul Mavi, Micah Yo, Shiloh De Espin, and Jaden Thompson. We're excited to bring you Square One Finals starting very, very soon.
Yeah, Brendan Dunnigan is almost definitely going to be taking the winner here, but it just comes down to how much by. Brendan knocking on the door of sub 5 average for Square One. Had a great performance at the World Championships just almost a couple of months ago now. Wow, that's crazy. But behind him, Calvin and Benjamin both getting 8-second averages. They're pretty solidly ahead of 4th place. So it almost looks like podium's going to be kind of locked in place, but second and third, it could be between Calvin and Benjamin, and maybe if one of those have a bad performance, somebody could jump up into the podium. But I'm just excited to watch some Brendan solves.
Yeah, Brendan, it's definitely one of the premier solvers in the world, so it's going to be exciting to see what he's able to do. And you're right with Calvin and Ben is that they definitely average in this 8-second range, which should get them the podium. But Square One is a short event, and a lot of stuff can go wrong, especially with the hardware. If you get one single pop or if you accidentally DNF, that'll really, really put you in a bad spot. So for one of these 10-second solvers to come in and steal a podium spot. But we're just about ready to go here. We're going to get started in a couple minutes, I believe.
Yeah, Brendan's current PR average is 5.56, which when he got that, it didn't even win him the round at the Southeast Championships, which is crazy. But he got 3rd place at the World Championships back in July in Seattle with a 5.8 average, which is a very strong performance. He was stoked to get that. One of 2 podiums he got at the World Championships, which is a very strong performance, especially I think it was his first World Championships as well, as Brendan is a pretty new Cuba. Got kind of started appearing on the scene in 2022 when he was getting North American records for clock, and now he is one of the strongest all-rounders in the world. I think he's close to nemesis-ing me, to be honest. I think it might only be a 2x2 single and a one-handed average that I've got faster than him, and it's only a matter of time before he beats those. And yeah, he's absolutely crazy. One of the fastest speed cubers within North America and definitely within the West Coast. And he just keeps on surprising us, I reckon. It's crazy.
Yeah, and he's well past nemesis-ing me. I'm not the one to specialize in many events. And you're right, Brendan. It's extremely impressive to me that he's world-class at so many different events, especially for something like Square One that has gained a ton of popularity in recent years just because of new methods becoming more viable and with new hardware. He's able to stay at the top of the world and nab himself a podium spot at the World Championships. I'm excited to see what he's about to do here.
Yeah, Brendan, world-class, top of the world in 2 events, Square One and Clock, which are both quite different events. Well, Clock is a different event to anything, to be honest. Probably the 2 most unusual puzzles within the WCA, and he's 5th in the world for Clock average and 8th in the world for Square One average. So obviously he's not the top of the top, and to get 2 podiums in those events, being 5th and 8th in the world respectively, is pretty crazy. But Brendan has pretty good nerve control, able to stay focused under a lot of pressure. And here we can see our top competitors getting ready for the finals now. I believe that is Calvin Nielsen and Benjamin Gottschalk having a little chat in the waiting area. The 2nd and 3rd seeds, respectively, going into this finals.
And Chris, for you, you're a little bit more of an all-rounder than I am. I always am curious as to how does that affect you on the day of the competition? Because, when you're able to focus in on one event that you're competing for the whole day, I imagine it becomes a little bit easier than when you're having to compete back-to-back rounds for the entire day. So I
Yeah,
don't
well,
know how that affects you.
it's a bit of a toss up. When I'm at a competition and I feel like I'm only focusing on one event, there's a lot of pressure on that one event. And if you're only competing in a few events over a whole weekend, every time you compete in that round, there's a lot of pressure because you don't have other opportunities to get good results at a competition. So I always like to compete in as much as possible, because then if I mess up 3x3, or at least I've got 2x2 later. If I mess up that, or at least I've got 4x4. So it kind of relieves a bit of the pressure in the round. But you're right, it does exhaust you, especially at these big competitions where you have a lot of finals back to back. We'll see Brendan in every single one of these finals. He's going to be extremely exhausted by the end of the day. And this is it's only day 2. He's still got another huge day ahead of him tomorrow. And by the end of that, by the time he gets to 3x3 finals, he'll have a little bit of a rest in the waiting area since it is head to head. But I always find at these massive competitions where I'm taking on so many events, by the time it gets to 3x3 final, which is my main event, I'm always absolutely exhausted. So that is the downside of being an all-rounder.
Yeah, and I can only imagine, because I was already exhausted and I wouldn't compete in more than 5 events per competition. So it looks like we're going to be focusing in on the first 2 seeds, Brendan Dunnigan, as we mentioned, and Calvin Nielsen, who was able to put down an 8.14 average in the first round of square one. And Calvin, probably one of the original people who decided to start using OBL and PBL. He's been a long-time square one solver, a long-time organizer of these events, and I'm happy to see him in this competition, performing at his best in the finals.
Yeah, the methodology for square one has been developed a lot in recent years. It used to just be everybody would learn CSP, which meant they would never get a parity case, similar to OPA on 4x4, but a lot easier. But it requires a lot more learning, and a lot more viable for square one. And then people would just do cube shape and then 4 algs to solve the rest of it. And then people started learning PBL, where they would do the last 2 steps in one algorithm, which saves a lot of time. And then people started learning OBL as well, so reducing the entire solve just to 3 steps: cube shape, then orient all the pieces, and then permute all the pieces, which is absolutely crazy. It requires hundreds and hundreds of algorithms. I believe it's even more than learning full ZBLL and ZBLS. Although I believe the algorithms might be a little bit more simple. A lot of just doing one case into another. And then even last year, we saw people developing OBLP, which is predicting the OBL case you'll get after cube shape parity. So that means for every cube shape, you've got to know how the algorithm you do moves all the pieces around. I don't think anybody here will see doing OBLP. Maybe Brendan knows a few cases, but we'll see both Brendan and Calvin doing CSP and hopefully OBL PBL as well. And here's our first
Here we
solve.
are watching Calvin's first solve. Long
Looks like
pause
he's
on the
got
OBL.
the OBL.
Yeah.
And the wrong PBL, maybe, and a 12.1. Not a good start for Calvin there. Takes a lot of practice to be consistent with OBL, PBL being so many algorithms. You've got to learn how to recognize them and learn how to recall them as well. And obviously, that was Calvin's downfall in that first solve.
And similarly to clock, we have special cube covers to prevent the square ones from being turned while they're being transferred between scrambling and the solving station, because square ones are very easy to move on accident.
Yeah, it's very easy to misalign those layers, which then makes it impossible to do a slice for your first turn. But here we've got Brendan Dunnigan, the favorite for this round, 556 official average and a 3.5 single. Has ridiculous turning. Hopefully we can see some of that turning in this round here, and maybe even some 4-second solves. I'm excited. Let's go.
He uses a black and yellow color scheme, which is a little different from some people who like to use black and white.
A little bit lucky towards the end of that solve, but it's a sub 5. That was a sub 5?
Yeah. He locked up a little bit on the last turn there, was in danger of plus 2ing, but he's still able to get a 493, and that's a fantastic start to his average.
And he's happy with it. He knows he probably could have turned it a little bit faster and a little bit smoother, but still a sub 5 to start. That's over half a second better than his PR average. A great way to start the finals for Brendan, who's been not doing great the last few rounds. We saw a high 6 average in the 3x3 second round and then a 28 average in 4x4 second round. So starting to redeem himself now at the start of Square One finals.
And similarly to Max, who's pretty much guaranteed to win 4x4, for Brendan, it's the same story here where he is just trying to break his own PR average and let alone win the competition. Especially this is his first competition since World Championships competing in Square One. We'll see if he's able to keep up the momentum from that World Championship in this competition.
So we've got a 6.7 from Benjamin there on the first solve. So he's going to be solidly in second place, but still almost 2 seconds behind Brendan, which is absolutely crazy because a 6 is not something to laugh about. Looking like a better solve here for Calvin.
Yes, it does. Oh, but did he get parity there? Oh, and the huge block up there. And now Calvin is counting a 12, and it looks like Ben on his second solve is able to count the 6.7 with a 6.15.
Wow, I think that could probably just put Calvin out of the podium already, unless he starts getting a few 7s or something like that. I think it's going to be tough for him to recover. And I think that's going to almost secure first and second, with Benjamin already counting a 6. Unless he bottles it on the last 3 solves, I think he's going to be doing all right. We should almost ask him to swap places.
There we see Benjamin with 6.15. And looks like that we switched the camera angle to zoom in on him while Brendan's not solving.
That's good. Hopefully we'll be able to watch some of his ladder solves, because that's a great start for Benjamin.
Brendan preparing for his second solve here.
Doing CSP now to avoid parity at the end. It looks like a good cube shape. Not sure if it's got parity though. Really quick cube shape. A little bit locky on the OBL. PBL, it's a bit locky as well. 6.1, he's not happy with that. Solution was there. Recognition was there, but turning just wasn't.
And so many things have to go right in Square One. You have to hope for a good solution. You have to hope for the better cube shape parity case. And at the end of all of that, you have to be turning. You have to make sure that your turning is on point, because Square One is one of the harder events to turn accurately on, probably just behind clock.
Looks like Calvin's trying to figure out which Square One he wants to use. Looks like he's got half a dozen out of his bag. That's crazy. I don't think I've ever taken more of like more than 3 of one cube to a competition before.
I don't even think I own that many Square Ones.
I don't think I've ever owned that many Square Ones. Has he got more? No way, he's got more.
Is that bag just full of Square Ones?
Looks like he's trying to find another one. He's like a magician.
Yeah, it's never ending.
No, it doesn't look like he's got any more. Anyway, here we go. Benjamin Goschalk started with 2 6s. He has a 6.48 official average, so 6s aren't as good for him as I thought, but still could be on for something good if he gets a few more 6s in this round. This solve looks good, and that gives him a counting 6.15, and I believe just one more good solve in the last 2, and he could get a PR average.
He's definitely in a good spot to get a PR average. He's even in a good spot to put some pressure on Brendan. Brendan can't just let off the gas pedal here. He actually needs to put down some good solves.
Benjamin's second solve was faster than Brendan's. And although we haven't seen Brendan's third, yeah, you're right. It definitely puts some pressure. He can't just ease up. You can't go all out because a wrong AUG or a big lockup could even cost him the win if Benjamin keeps this up.
It looks like Calvin's finally selected which square one he's going to use. Did they even look like he traced there?
No, I don't think he did. Just hoping to not get parity.
And it looks like he didn't. 10.33. Calvin might be in danger of falling out of the podium here.
Yeah, definitely. That's counting a 12 and a 10. Well, hopefully counting the 10. A little trick for square one is if you're, which we might have actually just seen Calvin do, if you're sat next to a good square one solver, but not someone who knows CSP, obviously you're not allowed to watch their solve if they do it before you. But you can listen and you can look at the times. So you can often find, know if they've got parity or not. And almost everybody does the same solutions for cube shape. So maybe what Calvin did is notice that the guy next to him who doesn't use CSP didn't get parity, decided not even to trace. I don't know. But it's a little trick, which is kind of pushing the borders of cheating, but it's not. But maybe a little bit frowned upon. Much better solve for Brendan there, 5.3.
531. We have Chris Mills coming in here with the questionably ethical meta strategies in square one.
It's something I've actually done in Scube before, I think. Just noticed that my friend next to me was getting fast times and knowing that they didn't really do many advanced layers. So I was like, well, I'll just do this. What would they do? What would they do? Put myself into their shoes and try and think of their solutions. But Benjamin is 701. That's going to lock a pretty solid average for him already. Probably around, what's that? Worst possible 6.6, best possible 6.3.
And we'll see how Brendan does in his fourth solve as well, because if he doesn't get a good time there, then there was going to be a lot of pressure on him to do so in the last solve. And here we go with Calvin's final solve, I believe.
I think this is
his fourth. And once again, it looks like he wasn't tracing parity. He ends up with no parity again. The 871.
8.7. If he counted that, he may still be in contention for a podium. I'm not quite sure. And here's Brendan Dunnigan. He has potential to get PR average here. Currently counting a 5.3. He's going to want to ensure he does not count that 6.1. But I think even if he got his best here, he might really secure a PR average because of that 4.
That was quick OBL.
The PBL was not quite there, but a 5.5 recovered it. A lot of recognition time for that PBL. His BPA is going to be 527. Worst possible 5.69. Brendan Dunnigan, as we predicted, is your square one Western champion. But is he going to be able to pull off a PR average?
And a pump with a fist for him there. I think he just calculated what his best possible average is here. So he knows what he's going to need to get in order to secure a PR average.
Kian Klein has 3 8s and a 15 so far, so I think he's going to be in second, barring a disaster on the last solve. I think Calvin Nilsson is almost definitely out of the podium here. Benjamin Gottschalk definitely second, but he has potential for a PR average.
I believe you're right that Kian is pretty safely already going to be in third unless he counts that 15.
Let's see if we can see a PR from Benjamin here. Needs a good solve on the last. Not going to be it. He's getting a worst possible average, but still very consistent solving from Benjamin. He's going to be second place at the Western Championships for square one with a solid sub-7 average.
And what a step up from him going from an 8-second average in the first round to a 6.6 average in the finals to secure second place for him. We were wondering if it was going to be Calvin or Ben for second place, and Ben handedly was able to get second there.
Here we go. Brendan Donegan got his square one for his last solve, has already secured the win, already secured a fast average, but has potential to get a big PR average. 527 is his BPA. He's going to need probably just a sub 6 to get PR average, and we know he's capable of this. We haven't seen some great times on this last scramble, but it's Brendan Donegan. Let's watch this. And it's not going to be it. A tough PBL for Brendan Donegan, but still a very quick average. He's going to be a little bit disappointed he couldn't clutch the PR there, but still a great showing and very exciting to watch.
The 569 average, absolutely nothing to be ashamed of there after getting a 5.9 average in the first round. Stepped it up, 5.6 average. He easily wins. Brendan Donegan, your Western champion for square one in 2025.
And Benjamin Gottschalk getting a 662 average is going to be in second place. And in third place, Kian managed to hold together for the final solve despite having a 15 looming over him with a subline average of 876. And Calvin Nielsen is going to be a bit behind with that rough start, and he's fallen down to fourth place. That was pretty exciting. We had potential for PR for our top two competitors. And that was square one finals. Up next, we've got clock finals, but I'm going to have to say goodbye as I've got to go to work. But I'll be back tomorrow for our finals tomorrow afternoon. It's been a pleasure commentating with you, Chris, and enjoy the rest of the finals. And for now, we're going to throw to an ad break as we get ready for clock finals, but don't go anywhere because Brendan Donegan's been on a tear with clock, and you could even see some world records from him.
Hey, we're your SpeedCube shop. We are your one-stop shop for anything cubing or puzzle related and have something for everyone, beginner or pro. If you want the best of the best, allow us to lend you our years of experience and consider one of our premium setup SpeedCubes. Our team of experts will dial in your SpeedCube by applying lubricants and adjusting the settings so that when your cube arrives, you're ready to start crushing your PBs. Have any questions? Our team is available via phone, live chat, or email to help get you on track. Tap the link to find your next challenge or upgrade and enjoy what we and many others consider to be the best shopping experience around.
Welcome back to the Sunset Ballroom inside the Flamingo Las Vegas for the West Coast Cubing Western Championship 2025. Now sharing the booth with me, Alyssa Esperaz, for the clock finals. For the clock finals, we're going to be looking at Alessandro, Sebastian, Jaden, Brendan, and Alex for our top 5 seeds. The first 4 seeds are all eligible to win the Western Championship title, especially Brendan Dunnigan, who is gunning for the world record average, although he did not have the best performance in the first round, getting 4th seed when he's probably expecting to win this competition. But we're going to have some stiff competition in this final round for clock.
Yeah, absolutely. I think definitely Brendan, obviously a favorite to win, but being in that 4th seed, a little bit surprising. So we'll see what he puts down here in the final. And glad to be joining you, Chris, from inside the venue. It's been a really good competition so far.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous that I couldn't be there this weekend in Las Vegas, but things didn't align for me to come down home. Were you also at the UCLA competition last week?
I was not. No, this is
okay.
Yeah, just here for Western Championship, and it's super exciting. It's a great atmosphere here, and obviously looking to crown our first Western champions of the weekend. Okay, looks like we're about to get our first solve here. This should be Jaden, who's in our 3rd seed.
Jaden is stone cold meditating before he takes the solve. I thought the camera froze for a second.
I was also wondering that. I had to look up and be like, is he actually there?
And I'm not sure if... Well, the clock did drop there, but I forget that the regulations have changed to allow for that.
Yes.
And not looking so
happy
good here. 686, the cross timer stop. Definitely not happy with that for Jaden, who put down the 385 average in the last round.
This is our 1 seed, Alessandro.
The 456, much better, although 456 is worse than his worst solve in the last round. I imagine that the nerves are palpable for these competitors, especially for clock, which is probably the toughest event to turn.
It is one of those things where anything can happen, as we saw in the first round. And so here's Brendan, again, the favorite, but in that 4th seed because anything can happen in clock. Ooh.
A bit of a fumble on the cube drop there. He's still able to get a 314 as we look at Sebastian's first solve as well. Sebastian also not very happy with his first solve of 437. So as we said, look out for Brendan. Even though he's in the 4th seed, he easily did the best out of the first 4 competitors. Brendan's been looking to get the world record average for quite a while now, so we'll see if he's able to do that here.
For all of you watching at home, I encourage you to go on WCA Live as well. They are doing live data entry for us, and so we'll be able to see projected winners and things like that on WCA Live. So thanks to the data team for doing that for us.
As I mentioned in the last round, we're using especially 3D printed cube covers in order to prevent the clocks from being turned or dropped in transfer. It's something that I believe has really helped on the organizational side, because clock dropping during inspection, same with square one, moving during transfer has always been a problem. And so these covers have really helped with that.
So hopefully after that set of first solves that we saw, nerves are out, and we'll take a look at what the rest of these averages look like.
Alessandro making sure to fiddle with his camera before he starts inspection. You never want to see somebody get DNF for touching their camera during inspection. It looks like he's having some trouble here, but it's time to ditch it all together.
He's on stream. He'll have video of it. Okay.
A fantastic solve, 264.
Yeah.
Much happier with that solve.
Oh, and I
looks like-
guess, yeah,
Yeah.
Brendan's first one was a DNF, which we did not catch initially.
It's hard to catch it on the overhead camera. It's hard to see like all the dials.
Okay, well, that puts Brendan in a tricky spot now. Obviously, he needs to make sure he gets a success on these last four. 225, fantastic solve from Brendan, and looks like we're good as well.
We have the second seed, Sebastian Stone. Sebastian with a 437 in his first solve, which was good. Oh, and he had to make sure that it was solved. Looks like a 5 seconds. Yeah, it's 5:39, which not good considering that his first solve was 4 seconds. We got the thumbs up though. At least it's not a DNF. Yeah, DNFs are just par for the course when it comes to clock, which is really unfortunate, especially when it's so much harder to turn. Just a single miss turn off, and it's a DNF.
$354 from our fifth seed, who is Alex Bohawk.
And that's his third solve. He's put down a 367, a 341, and a 354 for his first three solves. That's incredibly consistent. And that has to take a little bit of nerves off, especially when everybody's times are pretty sporadic right now.
Yeah, high variance that we've seen so far on these solves. But Brendan, so far, with the best single that we've seen, 225. Brendan is just in this interesting position with a really good single, but that DNF hanging over him as well. And so it's kind of like these last three, anything can happen.
Yeah, that best and worst possible average is going to look pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And we see that everybody's waiting a little bit longer this time. It tends to happen with events like Square One and Clock, where it's pretty easy to miss scramble, and especially for these shorter events where the scramble is very, very important. Here's Brendan now with his third solve, though. 337 again. He had to flip the clock over to make sure it was totally solved, because I'm sure he still wants to podium even if he doesn't put down his best performance. So he definitely doesn't want to DNF again.
Yeah.
Alessandro's third solve at
Quick
272.
solve.
And the thumbs up, that's good. Here's Sebastian's third. A little bit slower there. 425, taps up whoever's next to him. And Jaden with a 304. Is that the previous solve? Yes, it was.
That's the previous solve, yeah.
Yeah.
As of now, after three solves, we're going to have Alessandro ahead of Brendan for the time being. Obviously, a lot of solving left to do, but counting that 2.7 puts Alessandro in a good position.
Looks like we're already finishing up with a couple competitors here, but the top four seeds are a little bit behind. Alex's fourth solve, unfortunately, at 598 after he started with 3-3. So it is going to come down to the last solve for him. His best and worst possible averages are going to be pretty polarized.
Yeah. Alessandro is waiting for his fourth solve.
Using the towel to keep his hands dry. It's a favorite strategy among top cubers, although it just sometimes I just can't figure out the sweat on the hand issue.
You can only wipe your hands so much before you gotta just pick up the cube. So
Yeah, and then you immediately start swinging again.
yeah, again, yeah. Okay. Brendan's fourth solve, currently counting that 3.3. Obviously, we'll be looking to count a few faster solves here. And again, that DNF hanging over his head. .8.
2.86 is a great solve for Brendan. He should be in position to win this solve, or win this round, if he doesn't really mess up on the last solve.
And I think Alessandro, this might have just been a DNF because he gave a thumbs down at the end of this.
Okay. You reset the timer just so nobody thinks he got that. Okay. And Alex with a 3.44, so he finishes extremely consistent throughout his average. He's currently in first place with a 3.55 average. Incredible consistency from him. His counting times 3.5, 3.4, 3.5, and 3.6. Sebastian with a DNF.
Interesting. So actually, with those DNFs from Sebastian and Alessandro, I do believe that Brendan it puts Brendan in a good spot because Alessandro is counting at 4.5, but it will come down to the last solve here.
Yeah, Alessandro and Sebastian, they don't have that advantage of Brendan's DNF anymore. They all have DNFs.
Yeah. Jaden also has a DNF. So all 4 of our top 4 seeds are here with a DNF. Okay, so a 4.43 will put Brendan Dunnigan in first place. Obviously very doable for him, just doesn't want to get a DNF here.
The 261, we have to wait if it's good. Well, Alessandro with a 368, and I think he knows that means it's not going to win it for him unless that was a DNF. Then that would be really unfortunate.
A nice fist bump.
It looks like Brendan knows it's good. He is going to be slotted into first place with 295 average, which is worlds beyond what was first in the last round. So he's in a good spot as long as Sebastian.
No, Sebastian cannot overtake him here. So Brendan Dunnigan is our Western champion for clock.
That's it?
Yeah.
All right, Brandon Dunnigan, after being the 4th seed coming into the final round, is your Western champion for clock with a 2.95 average. He is the only competitor in this round with a sub-3 average. He can't believe it. He's talking to Alessandro. Congratulations to Brendan Dunnigan. And Brendan, with that win, is now 2 for 2 on Western Championship titles as he was able to take Square One finals in the last round.
Back to back finals as well. Like that's not that's definitely a big deal to just go straight from winning in one event and then go straight into your next main event. So congrats to Brendan. And he just keeps going. He'll be in the next final as well. We've got 6x6 coming up, and Brendan is the 2nd seed. Put down a PR mean in the first round of 6x6, 122. Just 3 seconds behind Max Park, actually.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit tougher. Brendan is not really the favorite to win 6x6 finals.
No.
But like you said, a 122 mean is actually there, and he has a chance if Max doesn't put down his best times at all. But we're excited to bring you 6x6 finals next, right after this commercial break.
Hey, we're your SpeedCube shop. We are your one-stop shop for anything cubing or puzzle related and have something for everyone, beginner or pro. If you want the best of the best, allow us to lend you our years of experience and consider one of our premium setup SpeedCubes. Our team of experts will dial in your SpeedCube by applying lubricants and adjusting the settings so that when your cube arrives, you're ready to start crushing your PBs. Have any questions? Our team is available via phone, live chat, or email to help get you on track. Tap the link to find your next challenge or upgrade and enjoy what we and many others consider to be the best shopping experience around.
If you're checking out this live stream because you have a child who has learned how to solve a cube and is thinking about competing, welcome. I'm Cube Mom, and today I will answer a common newcomer question. What do I need to bring to a competition? You don't need to worry about timers, scorecards, or equipment. The competition provides all of that. What your child needs to bring are cubes. Also, it can be a long day, so keep your child energized by packing something to eat and drink or buying something close by. And that's your Speed Cubing 101 today.
Let's go!
Want to learn more about the world of
Cubers Live is your home for all things speed cubing. From exclusive interviews with top cubers and personalities,
Dylan Miller, Maddie Nava, Tommy Cherry,
to highlights from major competitions such as US Nationals, North American Championships, and the WCC World Championship, to podcasts you can listen to while commuting, studying, or even cubing, and of course, live streams from all around the Western region. If you'd like to support our efforts to make speed cubing exciting and accessible like never before, consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. Thanks, and enjoy the rest of the broadcast.
Welcome back to the Sunset Ballroom inside the Flamingo Las Vegas for the West Coast Cubing Western Championship 2025. We just saw Brendan Dunnigan win Square One Final and Clock for his first two Western Championship titles of the weekend, but he's going to have a lot of work ahead of him because now we're moving into the 6x6 final where I imagine that the heavy favorite is Max Park putting down a 119 mean in the first round, followed by Brendan with a 122 mean, his personal record. Kevin Hayes is in the third seed with a 129 mean, and Paul Mavi on the outside of the podium looking in with a 135 mean. I can't imagine that the podium is going to be any different than Max, Brendan, and Kevin. but we'll have to see. Anything can happen in 6x6.
Absolutely. And of course, Max Park is the favorite to be the Western champion for 6x6, but the rest of that podium is up for grabs with Brendan, Paul, Emily. Kevin is not eligible to be on the Western Championship podium, but looking to put down some good times here anyways as he gets set with his first solve.
Fortunately, Kevin's got his Mountain Dew blocking the view, so we can see what's going on here. Kevin, a former 3-time 6x6 champion, and I believe, other than Max Park, he was the first, and I'm not sure if he's still the only person to have done that with Max Park's 6x6 World Championship this year, but certainly the first, and what an achievement that was for him to do that in 2017 in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin's certainly done with centers here. He's moving on to edges. He always says he likes to be done with edges just above the 1 minute mark. It's a little bit hard to see what his solve is looking like. It looks like he still has a few edges left here.
Yeah. And maybe just now onto 3x3 stage, it looks like.
You always have to worry about parities on 6x6. Onto PLO here, and a 127 in line with his first round average.
Yeah, a little shake of the head there. Here's Brendan, and in that second seed, we get the overhead camera so we can see a little bit more of what's going on.
And I'm not sure what the method looks like for all of these competitors. It looks like Brendan is using Yao, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. And similarly to his 4x4 solving, he puts his cross color on the bottom while he's making his cross edges, which isn't something you normally see among the top solvers, but Brendan is able to make it work clearly. So I'm sure that that's not something he needs to be worrying about. He's on to making the blue center here. His last two centers. A little difficult to see what time he's at right now, but for Yao, you have a little bit more flexibility with when you flip the cube over and start doing edges, because edges are so much quicker.
He's just crossed the 1 minute mark here, a few edges left. And again, Brendan in the second seed with a PR average, so obviously did really, really well and had a really good first round performance.
His turning, as far as the finals go, seems pretty smooth. It doesn't seem like he's very intimidated by this final at all, and I imagine it's the same for the top 3 seeds. All of them have competed at the top level for quite a number of months at this point.
For sure. Okay, here we go with Max Park's first solve, and I think, Max Park obviously just incredibly dominant at this event, the only person to have done this officially in less than a minute. If we see that here, that would be quite incredible, but in the first round, a little bit uncharacteristic, close to that 120 mark for Max Park, which is not typical for him.
And Max still using reduction, just like many of the 6x6 users, although it looks like Yao has started to become a little bit more popular the bigger the cube gets. Max is still definitely showing that Redux is very viable when it comes to this big cube, and his dominance in 6x6 and 7x7, like you mentioned, is just ridiculous. Looks like there's a couple fumbles here and there, but Max's turning is just so much faster than everybody else's that even fumbles here and there. He has one edge left to flip. He's doing it now as he moves on to his last slot and his last layer. He does not have Ola parity, and a 120 for Max.
So even though that is pretty slow for Max, that's still the fastest solve that we've seen so far. And, Brendan's starting off with a 130, so that puts Max in a good position, even though he's not going to be fully happy with that. necessarily. And, Max is here and obviously wants to be Western champion, but I think Max, obviously, in this setting is wanting more than just, the Western champion title. He wants records.
Yeah, I think Max is past the point of wanting podiums.
Yeah.
I have no idea how many medals he has at this point. Here's Kevin with his second solve. He is currently, from the first solve, is in second place with a 127, which I'm sure he'd be happy to get second in this competition, considering I don't think he practices very much anymore.
Kevin also using reduction as well. And so even though, as you were mentioning, Chris, that it was becoming more popular even with our big cubes, top 2 seeds here currently both using Redux, although Brendan was using Yao.
Absolutely. And it looks like Kevin is getting onto 3x3 stage here. He has Olo parity this time, but he's in a better spot with just PLL to go at about the 121 mark. It looks like he also has PLL parity. And he's not happy, but the 124 is easily the second best performance that we've seen so far. And he is looking pretty secure in the second place spot.
I think Kevin is definitely chasing and wanting those sub 120 times, and so both of those first ones not going to be too happy with them.
Yeah, Kevin is similar to Max, where at this point he probably doesn't care too much about the podiums, and he just wants to be
definitely
best.
not.
I think Kevin might even have more podiums than Max. Max has over 650 medals, including 625 golds. So a podium, it seems to be the last thing on their mind right now.
Of course. All right, we haven't been keeping track of Paul, but let's go to our live data entry. And Paul started off with a 131.50. Emily so far 138.31 and 131.36. That 131.36 single is a PR for Emily. And both Emily and Paul are eligible for that Western Championship podium. And so we'll be looking to take that third place spot.
Yeah, the low 131 mean is definitely in contention for third place for them, which would be huge. This is Brendan on his second solve. He's passed his cross edges so far. It looks like around the 35-second mark, working on that orange center for his first of his last 4. Incredible turning and fluidity here on these last couple centers.
Yeah, I think, if I'm Brendan, I'm coming off of 2 wins and a couple events he obviously really cares about. And Brendan, an all-rounder in his own right, but I'm not sure that 6x6 matters as much to him as Square One and Clock did. So I imagine he's sitting down for these solves just thinking like, okay, I can just put down a good performance and I've already had a really good evening. And so I think we are seeing that in the turning that is quite smooth here.
Yeah, all the pressure is off now that he's won the 2 events that he cares about the most.
Yeah.
And he does get parity here. That is a super interesting algorithm to do that PLL parity. And I couldn't quite see what the time was. It's a 129, so very in line with his previous solve. Brendan looking like he's going to get a low 130 average, which would probably put him in third place. Here we are this time with Max's second solve. It looks like he's onto his last couple edges here. Turning incredibly smoothly again. Once again, he's left that final edge so that he can figure out how to avoid Olo parity. That was a really fast 3x3 stage. The V-burn. A 107 from Max. He is so happy with that. A sub 110 solve.
I think Max definitely has felt the pressure to put down some good times and hasn't seen them quite yet this weekend. So, yeah, he's super happy with that one, with a sub 110.
He's been searching for lower singles since the World Championship. This is his first competition competing in 6x6 since the World Championship. And I believe that is his first sub 110 single of the competition. So definitely going to be really happy with that.
Yeah, he is. And Max is back in the competitor waiting area. He chooses, even though this is a stationary final, he chooses not to sit in his station while waiting for his next puzzle.
Yeah, that's a super interesting strategy because maybe the head-to-head or being in the stationary is like, it throws him off because you're used to waiting in the competitor area for all the other rounds. So definitely an interesting strategy there as we zoom in on Kevin's third solve.
Finally move the Mountain Dew so we can see a little bit more of it.
Did he finish the Mountain Dew or did somebody notify him that we can't see anything?
I think he took a sip and put it down on the other side of the camera.
Oh yeah, there it is. I always tried to avoid the caffeine when I was competing because it made me pretty jittery. But that was also before I went to college and started drinking a lot of coffee. So I don't know if I would change that strategy nowadays because it seems like that's the only thing keeping me awake and alert. So I don't know if Kevin's always been doing that, but you know,
I
he's
think
a top
the Mountain Dew is a staple for Kevin for sure.
Okay.
But I don't know, I guess it's working. It's worked so far in his career, I guess. So why change if it's not broke?
Definitely. And he has a chance here to secure second place with a good solve. It looks like he still has some edges to do though, and he's approaching the 115 mark. Now just getting to 3x3 stage. So he's shaking his head. He doesn't look like he's very happy with this, but still possible for him if he doesn't get any parodies. No OLO parody, PLO parody. Into a T-perm, and he's not happy at 128, but that is pretty securely in second place so far, depending on what Brendan's able to do in his last solve.
Mm-hmm. All right, Max is coming off of a single that he was very, very happy with. A little bit surprised by how happy he was with it, but I think it's a little bit of an indication of the mindset that Max is in this weekend.
Yeah, maybe a bit of a relief for him after he's been struggling a little bit in 6x6 in this competition at least. And for someone who is used to putting down world-class times, if he's not up to his own standards, then it could be a little bit hard. So to get past that barrier, maybe he's hoping that will propel him for the rest of the competition. And he's flying through this solve. He's already on 3x3
this is looking good.
Let's go!
And a 103 for Max. He knocks down the chair in excitement. That is probably going to be like sub 110 mean.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely fantastic considering his first round performance.
Yeah. And starting with that 120, obviously happy to finish it off with 2 1-0s.
And now we're just hoping that that didn't distract any of the other competitors.
I think Brendan wisely waited for Max to finish his solve before saying he was ready.
Congratulations to Max Spark, who, barring an incredible solve by Brendan Dunnigan, is your 6x6 Western Championship once again. I can't even count how many times he's achieved this title, so he defends his title once again. Congratulations to Max.
Yeah, projection mode on WCC Live is telling us that Brendan would need a 31-second solve to overtake Max, so I think we can pretty confidently congratulate Max Park on being Western champion.
Yeah, 31 seconds seems just a little bit out of reach, although it looks like he needs a 119 in order to secure second past Kevin Hayes, which is definitely doable for him as he was able to get a 122 mean in the previous round. I'm sure he knows this, and he seems to have upped his turning for this solve. Brendan is always the type to calculate what he needs in order to get a good average, which isn't something that a lot of top competitors do, because sometimes it could be added pressure, but somebody like Brendan, maybe that motivates him extra.
So past the 1 minute mark here already and not done edges, so I don't think we're going to see that 119.
Although with Yao, his 3x3 stage, if there's no parity, he could do it. He gets EO as well. Does he know the ZB? With no parity, he doesn't get parity, and it is a 124, it looks like. So Brendan Dunnigan is going to slot himself into third place. That means Kevin Hayes takes second place at the Western Championships. I believe this is an all-West podium.
No, Kevin won't be on the Western podium.
Oh, he doesn't reside in the West Coast.
He's the Pacific Northwest.
I see. Paul's final solve there with a 131. We'll see where that slots him, although is that his final solve or is that his second solve?
No, that was just his second. I believe he had an extra, so Paul will still be.
And Emily went with a 158 on her final solve, a little bit unfortunate after getting her PR single on her second solve. She is in fourth place currently with a 142 mean, and I believe Paul is the only one who really has a chance to get in onto the podium with two 131s. He's going to need a low 120 single in order to get into third place past Brendan Dunnigan.
All right, so Paul will wait for his last solve, and in these kind of situations, it's a little bit tricky. Like the venue's starting to get a little antsy, and it's, they think everyone's done, but Paul still has a whole solve left, and so that's sometimes not the best environment to put down your best time on your last solve. But we'll see what he's capable of.
Yeah, you're right. I remember there was this time when I was on Livestream when Felix and Max and all of these fast cubers were in the area for the first time in a while, and I was getting a lot of missed scrambles, and it just so happened that I was the last solve of the competition, and I wasn't doing too hot, and I wanted to put down a good time, but all these people just really got to me, and so definitely not the best spot to be in, especially when Paul is competing for a very competitive podium here.
So 122 can put him ahead of Brendan Dunnigan.
And that is just above his PR single, so it is doable for him. Although it seems like he hasn't gotten a sub 122 single in quite a number of months. Paul does compete a lot, so
yeah, it's pretty consistent with what we could probably expect. Unfortunately, we're not seeing a lot here on the progress through the solve, so we'll just wait and see what we get. Yeah, no overhead cam on Paul, so we're just looking at his warm-up bunny and see what he's able to do. It's kind of settling back in, and yeah, again, being here in the room, you can kind of hear it is getting a little bit louder. People think the round is over even though it's not, so yeah, but he's got those headphones on, and hopefully he can just stay locked in to get to the end of the song. The headphones have become a pretty big staple for longer or events that you need to concentrate more on, so definitely a good move by him. All right. And it looks like
We're coming past the 122 mark, and unfortunately that means Paul is not going to be on the podium for 6x6. He's fumbling a little bit at the end here. It looks like he's really rushing to finish. 137. I think he knows that was his chance there. So unfortunate for Paul, who is going to end up in 4th place. And once again, that means Max Park is your Western champion for 6x6, followed by Kevin Hayes in 2nd place and Brendan Dunnigan in 3rd place with a 128 mean. Congratulations to Max with yet another 6x6 title.
All right, and that wraps up 6x6, and I believe we are going to cut to a break.
Hey, we're Speedcube Shop. We are your one-stop shop for anything cubing or puzzle related and have something for everyone, beginner or pro. If you want the best of the best, allow us to lend you our years of experience and consider one of our premium setup Speedcubes. Our team of experts will dial in your Speedcube by applying lubricants and adjusting the settings so that when your cube arrives, you're ready to start crushing your PBs. Have any questions? Our team is available via phone, live chat, or email to help get you on track. Tap the link to find your next challenge or upgrade and enjoy what we and many others consider to be the best shopping experience around.
If you're checking out this live stream because you have a child who has learned how to solve a cube and is thinking about competing, welcome. I'm Cube Mom, and today I will answer a common newcomer question. What do I need to bring to a competition? You don't need to worry about timers, scorecards, or equipment. The competition provides all of that. What your child needs to bring are cubes. Also, it can be a long day, so keep your child energized by packing something to eat and drink or buying something close by. And that's your Speed Cubing 101 today.
Let's go!
Want to learn more about the world of speed cubing? Subscribe to the Speed Cubing 101 podcast, available where you get podcasts, and Speed Cubing 101 is also available on YouTube. Happy cubing and enjoy the rest of today's live stream.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Sunset Ballroom inside the Flamingo Las Vegas for the West Coast Cubing Western Championship 2025. We just finished 6x6 finals where Max Park was able to secure another West Coast champion title. We now move into Megaminx where we're going to be looking at our top 5 seeds from the previous round, which is Lucas, Dylan, Alessandro, Brendan, and Shiloh. Brendan Dunnigan has captured 3 podiums so far in 3 finals of this competition, but he's going to have a little bit more work ahead of him this time if he wants to get into the final 4 Megaminx.
Absolutely. And the top 2, Lucas and Dylan, will not be eligible for the Western Champ title. So the rest of that field is Lucas, a fellow Canadian, and the Canadian record holder for Megaminx multiple times, just keeps breaking it himself. And so we'll see what he's able to put down here. Lucas is always capable of some really good times at Megaminx.
Yeah, winning the first round pretty handedly by over 6 seconds with a 33-second average. Nobody else was even able to get 38. And Megaminx turning is just so crazy to watch. Turning so many different layers so fluidly and looking ahead, just like 3x3, but for a lot longer.
Again, you see Lucas quickly through this solve.
The 30.06, he gets the thumbs up from the judge. There are no penalties. 30.06 is a great start for Lucas after a 33 average in the first round.
And that national record average that he would be looking for is a 30.55. So that puts him on pace.
And here's Brendan with his first solve. A 35.58 is very good for him. His last round average was a 42-second average, so that's better than any of the singles that he had in the previous round, and would definitely put him in position to be second at this competition. Now we're looking at Dylan's first solve. Many people who are good at 3x3 decide to do Megaminx as well, because oftentimes people say that if you're good at looking ahead during F12 on the 3x3, then you'll be well suited to be good at Megaminx. Although I personally tried doing the same thing and I can't fully agree with that. But here we go with Dylan. His final time, 34.88. So even better than Brendan's first solve, and Dylan so far with the second best single of the round that we've seen. And it looks like Dylan is also opting to just go back to the competitive waiting area, even though this is a stationary final. Interesting to see so many of the top people doing that.
I think it's easy to kind of just get jittery in that seat while you wait. So if it's available to you, all good.
We're looking at the third seed coming into this final is Alessandro. He was able to put down a 40.79 second average in the previous round, after recovering from a pretty terrible first solve in that round. So definitely is fit for the nerves in this final. It looks like he's on to last layer here. And is that +2? Yes, it is a +2. So that 41.06 turns into a 43.06, which certainly is not what he's looking for, as we're midway through Lucas's second solve. And Lucas's fluidity and turning is just on a completely different level here.
Mm-hmm.
That looks like another great solve.
30. Yeah, might be a sub 30 or just above 32.47. A little bit off of that NR pace, but still lots of solves left to go.
And this is probably the third final that we've seen where the top seed is pretty easily supposed to win. And I'm never sure if that means that there's less pressure for them to try and break their own personal bests, or if there's more for them. And here we see Dylan getting ready for his second solve. He and so is Brendan. They're both using 5x5s to warm up because 5x5 is going to be the next final that they're both participating in. So just warming up for the final event of the day for them.
Yeah, it's definitely a grueling schedule for someone like Brendan, who is in every single final this evening. That obviously, at World Championship, we had this nice schedule where you just had a few finals every night, and it was rare that anyone was even in two of them at the same time. But to do 5 finals back to back to back is quite the feat.
Especially for events where the turning style is so different. I mean, he was doing clock, and then he was going to 6x6, and then Megaminx, and now he's going back to 5x5. So definitely like not the easiest for him to adjust to right after competing in a different final. His turning seems to be pretty spot on in this solve. I haven't seen too many big pauses. Dylan definitely looking to get onto the podium. I'm not sure how happy he is with his 42-second average in the last round, but he puts down another 35. He seems pretty happy with that, and once again, he's making a bid for second place here if he can beat out Dylan, who we're watching now.
I always appreciate that Brendan gives us the storyline and his reactions.
Yeah, no, never a doubt as to how he feels about his solves. We're on to Dylan. Dylan uses black for his final layer, whereas it looks like some people decide to use gray. Just a personal preference thing. It probably comes down to each solve. On to the final step here. It's another 35 for Dylan, so it's very, very close between Dylan and Brendan for the second place spot. And here's Lucas's third solve. Once again, he is pretty handily in position to win this event. He's looking for NR average, which Alyssa, you said was 30.5?
30.5, yeah.
Okay. Once again, the turning is just absolutely fluid. I don't know if I've seen a single lockup from him in any of these solves. Another good time, a 30.93, so just above the national record average, but still like very, very good. I mean, he has a 30, a 32, and a 30, which are all better than his previous round's average.
Yeah, Lucas is no stranger to big stages, was just competing at Worlds last year at NAC 2024 in Minneapolis. He put down a real good run for winning and becoming North American champion. Ended up in second place, but I don't think he necessarily expected that. Although, I don't know, I think some people would tell you, I always expect to win, no matter what the field looks like, and that's often a good mindset.
Everybody has to believe that they have to win at some point. And here we are watching Brendan's third solve. He's put down 235s, which is very close for second place, depending on what Dylan's able to do. But Brendan has definitely stepped it up compared to his previous round, where he got a 42-second average. I think it's safe to say that Brendan kind of thrives under all this pressure.
Oh, yeah.
And the quadruple fist pump for 36.06. He's very, very happy with that. A 35, 35, and a 36 for him. He is making a very, very strong bid for second place here. An extra fist pump just for the heck of it.
Looking for another Western champion title this evening. He's just piling them up.
Now we're looking at Lucas's fourth solve. Still could be in the running for the national record average. He's gotten just above it on a couple of the solves, but a good solve here would definitely put him in good position. And he's flying through this once again.
You're right, Chris. Just a lot of just really fluid in the turning from Lucas, which is always very much appreciated. Like, so good to see. and 32-32. So that is most likely going to put that national record out of the question. Yeah. Best possible is now a 31-1. So, yeah, like you were saying earlier, Chris, it's like when you know you're going to win, you kind of are looking for those records. And so probably going to be a little bit disappointed there.
But the consistency is there. His worst possible average is still 31. It's a high 31. So at least it was a consistent performance for him. And he definitely secured the win here, unless somebody gets a 17-second solve, which probably isn't going to happen. We're looking at Dylan's fourth solve, and him and Brendan are extremely close for the second place spot. Both of them putting down about 35 to 36 second mean so far.
I believe this is Dylan's third.
Oh, this is his third solve. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. A long pause before the final algorithm, but he's able to put it down. The 43 on that one, definitely not. He's going to want to put that one behind him, but it's only the third solve, so he has plenty of room to make up for the average.
Totally. You get one bad one every average. You're allowed. Brendan here is going to look to continue a pretty consistent average so far, and as long as he keeps that consistent, then he will continue to just kind of have that worst possible and best possible be in that really small range, which is what you want going into your last solve.
Yeah, and he's also been extremely consistent in his first three solves. No pauses yet for him. It looks like there was a bit of a pause on that pair, but there's so many pairs that one pause isn't really the end of the solve unless you're extremely, extremely low class.
A little bit behind pace here, though, from his previous, and so this solve will kind of put him on par again with Dylan, that 40-something. And Lucas finishes off his average.
Lucas's final time. We're trying to see here. He's already secured the win, and not the title for this competition, but he has won the event. A 30.14, his second best solve of the average. Congratulations to Lucas for winning this event. A 31.13 average, very, very good for him. 2 seconds faster than his previous round average.
All right, here's Dylan. Dylan can put himself back on pace with Brendan with a mid-30, like a 35 here. And so thanks to production giving us the numbers above, and we'll track the battle between these two for second place.
Yeah, that's clutch. If Dylan's able to put down a good time here, then the 3 and the 4 would pretty much swap, and we're back to being extremely close. No big fumbles yet for Dylan. It's a little hard to notice, especially because I'm not the best Mega Mix solver. It looks like he's getting close to his last layer. A clean final algorithm, and Dylan, a 32.88.
Seems very pleased with that, and that will put him in a good position to keep that second place spot that he had coming into this round. So let's look at the best possible and worst possible here.
It's extremely close. They're both at 34.
So close. 35.54 best possible for Brendan. And so if Dylan locks up his best possible, he does lock up that second place spot, but we'll just see what happens, and it will come down to the last solve for these two solvers.
Off screen, Alessandro has finished his average. He's currently in second place with a 40.14 average, although that is he's set to be kicked off the podium here after Brendan and Dylan solved. They're right next to each other, so we'll see if that plays any role, because Dylan is going to have to see what time Brendan gets in order to beat him.
Brendan does need to get a good solve here. His worst possible will put him out of it.
It looks like he's just about to reach last layer here. He's already at the 35-second mark.
Mm.
And this isn't going to do it for him. A 40.12. And the door is open for Dylan to steal this second seed. Brendan Dunnigan has locked up the Western Champion title.
Yeah.
So once again, Brendan Dunnigan, another Western Championship title for him. But I'm sure he still wanted to be second place in the event. Dylan just needs to get about a 36 or 37-second solve now that Brendan is counting a 40-second solve.
All right, I believe we will try and get for you what Dylan needs here to jump ahead of Brendan. But his worst possible average will not do it, so it is not locked up for Dylan, that second place spot. 40.89, thank you, production team.
And similar to Brendan's final solve, a 40-second solve is what's going to do it for him. There's a little bit of a pause there, but it's just going to come down to the cases here. Dylan onto the final step.
And
I believe he got it. Is that 38? It is. It's a 38-39. Dylan Miller is your second. He's your runner-up in the Megaminx event. Brendan Dunnigan still your Western champion for Megaminx. But what a performance from Dylan, knowing exactly what he needed to beat in order to beat Brendan, and he is your second. He's second place for Megaminx.
There we go. And so our podium is Lucas with that 31-13, Dylan 36-42, Brendan 37-25. A tight battle for that second place spot and rounding out that podium. Brendan Dunnigan is once again a Western champion this evening in Megaminx. And rounding out the West podium are Alessandro Diamapapo and Shiloh Despine, both on that Western Championship podium. So congratulations to all of our competitors in Megaminx. The great performance that we saw from this group. All right, we are about to see 5x5 finals. It's going to be the last final of the evening. It's been an exciting one already, and I'm actually going to be swapping out, and after our break, you will be joined by the one and only Michael Rosenkrantz.
If you're checking out this live stream because you have a child who has learned how to solve a cube and is thinking about competing, welcome. I'm Cube Mom, and today I will answer a common newcomer question. What do I need to bring to a competition? You don't need to worry about timers, scorecards, or equipment. The competition provides all of that. What your child needs to bring are cubes. Also, it can be a long day, so keep your child energized by packing something to eat and drink or buying something close by. And that's your Speed Cubing 101 today.
Let's go!
Want to learn more about the world of speed cubing? Subscribe to the Speed Cubing 101 podcast, available where you get podcasts, and Speed Cubing 101 is also available on YouTube. Happy cubing and enjoy the rest of today's live stream.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Sunset Ballroom inside the Flamingo Las Vegas for the West Coast Cubing Western Championship 2025. We're so excited to bring you the final of today. It's 5x5. We just wrapped up Mega Minx, where Brendan Dunnigan was able to secure another Western Championship title, although he came in third place overall in the event to Lucas and Dylan Miller. Joining me in the booth now is the one and only Michael Rosenkrantz, and we are looking to bring you the top 4 seeds in 5x5. Max Park, once again. Paul Maui finding himself in the second seed this time with a 50.81 average in the first round. Brendan Dunnigan in third, and Kevin Hayes is going to be your 4th seed. Michael, it was extremely close between the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th seeds. What are you looking for to see if they can pull off a podium here?
Yeah, Chris, I'm really just looking forward to, each of these competitors just try and make it close as they can, getting through the first round, always a good feeling, but now that you're in finals, pressure's a little bit higher going into it. So I think here, if you're some of the lower seeds here, such as Paul Bendy and Kevin Hayes going into it, you have Max Park at the top, who's separated well ahead of the competition by about 10 seconds or so. I would say, I think a good feeling for all of these other seeds. Try and keep it as close as you can. Try and remind yourself you've been here before. You've been in these final situations before. Just go out and give it the best you can.
And you're definitely right. Kevin and Brendan have already been in multiple finals today, and so has Paul, although Paul, I think, is a little bit disappointed with the fact he didn't podium in 6x6, and I'm wondering if that'll add more pressure onto his 5x5 solves because he's still without a podium today.
Yeah, Paul having a 133.56 main back in 6x6, just not enough for the podium. That podium, of course, being Max Park, Kevin Hayes, and Brendan Dunnigan. So Paul has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder going into 5x5. I wholeheartedly agree with that.
And here we're looking at his first solve. It's pretty fluid so far, although it looks like he messed up his sensors there, and that is going to kill the solve for him. He is a blue and green cross solver. He also uses Yao on 5x5, which is becoming probably more and more popular these days compared to reduction. And yeah, this is definitely not a solve that Paul is going to be happy with. It's probably going to be above the 1 minute mark. He's just going to have to move on and hope he can make up for it in the next couple solves. And 105.
Yeah, with solves like that, Chris, it's tough enough in the finals where you get yourself deep in a hole with a solve like that, but you remind yourself 4 solves left, get that first one out of the way, try and focus on the here and now and keep on solving.
Yeah, and Paul averages under 50 seconds, so if he wants to just beat his first round average, then he definitely has the capabilities to do that, and he doesn't have to pull off like a crazy personal record or something. So he definitely is. I would hope that the pressure isn't too high for him, although, like we said, he's still without a podium today when he missed out on 6x6. So that might add some extra pressure. We're looking at Max Park's first solve here. He's flying through this. He still uses reduction. He's still second in the world for 5x5 average. And this is an incredible solve of 35.38 for his first solve.
I mean, what is there to be said about Max Park? He's just absolutely incredible. Whenever you just think, what more can he do? He just constantly proves himself, and a 35-second solve already off to a fantastic start.
Kevin with a 46 on his first solve, which is the second best that we've seen, and still somehow 11 seconds slower than Max. It just doesn't make any sense. This guy, like,
it really doesn't. I mean, Kevin Hayes, notorious for his high caliber solving for big cubes, and now when you're looking at Max and just seeing that far of a spread from one record holder to another, it's just incredible when you see it each and every time. It doesn't get old every time you watch it.
Yeah, and I don't think it'll ever get old. Max is still somehow improving as well. He's looking to take back the world record average from Timon Koloczynski, who was able to pull off that world record average in the finals of World Championships just a few months ago, which it's crazy to say that was a few months ago because that was an absolutely exhilarating final for the both of them. Max didn't even do poorly in that final. He got a 36-second average, and he wasn't able to win.
I tell you what, being a part of that production team for World Championships back in July in Seattle, it was just so special. I look on that competition, just a few months ago, and I just think to myself, what an experience that was. So many memories to be made, and 2 years coming up in Sweden World Championships coming back again. I cannot wait to see what any of these cubers can bring to the table.
And I hope to join you on that adventure to Sweden, as Paul, his second solve here is looking a little bit better. He hasn't made any huge mistakes. And he gets a V-perm for his PLL. 53.13 is not really going to do it for him. He is looking to get a sub 50 single on every single one of these solves if he wants a chance at second or third place.
Yeah, much better than his first solve. But again, Chris, you hit it right in the head. Sub 50, Paul is kind of known for those times that he can get. So looking to get back on the right train here. Brendan with a 44.55.
Yeah, 44.55 is great for Brendan. That is a bit of a relief for him, who he wasn't able to get that sub 50 average in the first round. But looking like he's pretty comfortably going to get that here. Same with Kevin if he's able to pull off another 46-second solve.
Both Kevin and Max solving right now. Kevin just about probably now 25 seconds ahead of Max. So Kevin will probably finish first before Max, but Max could be not too far behind him.
Yeah, Max probably has like an 11-second lead over him. So we'll see if he's able to accomplish that. But like we said, for those just joining us, it's really just who's going for second and third here. The second, third, and fourth seeds were all within 1 second of each other in the final round. And we just have Max, who is 10, 15 seconds ahead of everybody else. It's looking pretty good again. Not many pauses. It seems like it's a lot of moves. He's on to PLL here. And a 40.86, not the best for Max, but once again, like this, Max can sleepwalk into this title. It's probably going to be another Western Championship title for him, unless something absolutely catastrophic happens.
And that's just the crazy thing. A 40-second solve, nearly a 41-second solve for Max. He's still well ahead of the competition. Going to shake up the time just a little bit. But just the separation in times that he has between these other competitors, it's just so hard for them to catch up just because it's just pure speed. And it's just amazing all around.
And speaking of catching up, we're looking at Paul's third solve. He's counting a 53-second solve, which is not what he wants if he wants to get onto the podium, with Brendan and Kevin both putting down sub 50 singles. He's going to need to make up some ground here, either with a 45 or 46, if he wants a chance at his first podium of the weekend, I believe.
Off stream, Kevin getting a 48.72 for his second solve. Paul working on finishing up those centers just now.
Paul and Brendan, of the top four seeds, are the two people that use Yao, and I don't think it was always that way. I think Paul might have recently switched the past couple of years to Yao as it's become more popular for 5x5 solvers, but he didn't quite solve his last couple edges there. Maybe he didn't know the case for the last two edges. And the counting 53 now for Paul, he's definitely going to need to make up a lot of ground in his last two solves.
Exactly. Back-to-back 53s, counting one of those 53s right now. Hit it right on the head. Got to put himself in a good spot here. These next two solves, you want a chance to podium.
Looking in at Brendan, I believe this is his third solve coming up here. Under the table, I can't exactly see what's going on here, but if Brendan can put down another sub 50, he's pretty much locked up a podium spot.
Looks like he will. Oh, 49.60, just barely. Oh my goodness. Not too happy with the solve, but either way, a sub 50.
And like we said, with like all of these top seeds, pretty much they're not really looking for podium position at this point. They're just looking to beat their own personal records. And that's why we see the reaction from Brendan, because of 49, although it puts him pretty securely in the podium, he is not happy with that.
Kevin up for his third solve now out of 5 in 5x5 finals. 46.03, 48.72 are his first two solves. We're going to try and stay consistent with that 40-second solving.
It looks like he's about to do it. Yep, a 46. And at this point, is really looking like it's going to be Max, Brendan, and Kevin Brendan and Kevin searching for that number 2 spot, but Paul is going to need to make up a lot of ground.
Max going for his third solve. Got a 35, 38, 40, 86 for his first 2 solves. 3 more to go in at 5x5 finals. Already getting those green centers done along with blue. Looking decently solid right here as he transitions to 3x3 stage.
Yeah, he got through those first 4 edges pretty quickly, but then as soon as he went to go for the second set of 4, he's paused a little bit, but now he's on to 3x3 stage, and this is looking pretty fluid. Not a great Olo case. And a 36.93 Max Park. I mean, what is there to say about this guy at this point?
That's the crazy thing. Big cubes, I mean, you're known for getting parity throughout solves. It's all about how you're able to work through them. And Max getting one case, I believe, of parity there, as you said, Chris, but just able to work through it. That's the big thing about Max Park and getting a solid 36-second solve.
Yeah, and Max, apart from his incredible speed, which is what sets him apart, I think what really sets him apart is his consistency. Like, a lot of times in these big queues, people can get standard deviations in their main of like up to 5 seconds, but Max pretty consistently is always putting down like sub 40 averages. If we're looking into Paul's 4th solve, he's really going to need to make up a lot of time here if he wants a chance at the podium, barring some pretty abysmal solving from Kevin and Brendan. And yeah, with Yao, you never want to see like those big pauses during edge pairing because that's the advantage that it gives you. So if you're pausing during edge pairing, then you're really giving yourself a disadvantage.
Yeah, a couple pauses here from Paul, transitioning to 3x3 stage, trying to finish this one out in a relatively good time.
He did know the last 2 edges that time, so he's not going to get parity for the edges. And a 57.21, that unfortunately is most likely going to put Paul out of the podium. I'm not sure if he knows it yet, but that has to be pretty disappointing for him because he just barely missed out on the 6x6 podium an hour ago.
Yeah, tough feeling there for Paul. He slots down into 5th place as it stands right now. Emily Wen right above Paul as it stands right now. Your top 3, Max, Brendan, and Kevin, to go for 5x5. Kevin beginning his 4th solve now.
It's been extremely consistent from Kevin so far, all sub 50s. If he basically just gets a 52 here, then he's pretty much locked up the average away from Paul. There it is, a 46, a 48, and another 46. It's really just up to 2nd place now between Kevin and Brendan.
Kevin getting 2nd place in 6x6 not too long ago. Max taking 1st place with another Western Championship title in 6x6.
And a 43.13 for Kevin. That's easily his best solve of the competition so far as well. And he's probably locked up 2nd place there unless Brendan can respond with another really low time.
Clutch solving from Kevin. I mean, he's notorious in big cubes for a reason. Just a very solid solve all around. What a clutch solve there to possibly lock up a silver.
Let's see if Brendan can respond. It looks like he is about to get a good solve here. 44, he's happy with it. And he can certainly pull it off on the last solve as we look in on Max's 4th solve here.
Got a couple more edges to finish up, but looking decently solid here as he's transitioning to 3x3 stage here.
He chose to do yellow cross after he was doing edges on orange and red. And a 37.98. That's going to clinch it for Max Park, your Western champion in 5x5. Once again, like 6x6, like 7x7. I don't even know how many this guy has at this point because it just seems like he's been doing it forever. So congratulations to Max Park. And let's see if Paul can put down the final time he's satisfied with, at least for himself. Even if he doesn't get on the podium, you want to get at least one good solve here.
It's just too many titles to count at this point for Max in Western Championships. He's just solidified himself for years and years and years, especially in Western Championship. He's shown up and shown up big, and he certainly has in day 2.
Max also isn't one to get 2nd or 3rd, as we were talking about. He has about 670 overall medals. 625 of those are golds, and he's adding to all those golds today with 2 more in 6x6 and 5x5. Here we go with Paul. This has been a pretty fluid solve. Not too many lockups, and a G-perm to finish. He gets a 54.6. So pretty consistent solving from Paul, but definitely not the performance that he was looking for if he wanted to get onto the podium. So we're going to move on to Kevin and Brendan to see who's going to get second place here.
Kevin on his fifth and final solve, his best being that 43-13. His fourth solve was his best so far in this one. Looking to try and solidify it again with back-to-back good solves.
Dialing in the camera work here, we're zoning in on Brendan again, who is looking to beat Kevin on this final solve in order to secure second place. Kevin looks like he's just about finishing up 3x3 stage, although 3x3 stage is not his strongest part of the solve. This is going to be Kevin's worst solve, his worst possible average of 47. Still not out of the range of Brendan. Brendan needs to get a good solve here if he wants to beat that.
He sure does. Looks like he's trying to finish up here. What can he do? Can he put it down at a good time?
And another 49 for Brendan, so he's going to count the other 49, and I don't think that's going to do it for him. And it's not just barely. Kevin Hayes beats Brendan Dunnigan by about 0.7 seconds to take second place in 5x5. Now we're just watching Max's victory lap. He's already secured the Western Championship title and a sub 40 average.
Absolutely. Sub 40 average guaranteed. Kevin 47.16, Brendan 47.85. So there are your second and third place. Watching Max do his final solve here in 5x5.
Once again, super fluid 3x3 stage, and he puts it down a 37.77.
Oh my gosh.
So his worst solve is basically on par with his average from the last round. He gets a 37.56, easily winning this round. I mean, unbelievable stuff from Max right there. Like, there are some questions like, oh, he got a 40-second average in his last average, and maybe he hasn't been doing so hot this competition. Nope. Go ahead, 37-second average. Maybe not the world record that he was looking for, but I don't think he can be mad at a 37-second average at all.
I certainly wouldn't be mad at a 37-second average in a 5x5 to begin with at all. What a performance from Max, and what a day for Western Championships. Day 2 wrapping up. Day 3 tomorrow, Chris. What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, just to recap, so we had 5 finals today with Brendan Dunnigan collecting the Square One, Clock, and Megaminx Western Championship titles, with Max Park claiming 5x5 and 6x6. Pretty much as expected, but a lot of thrilling solves today. I can't wait for all of the bigger finals tomorrow as well. You can join me and Michael Rosenkrantz tomorrow as well. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and thanks for tuning into the stream. We'll see you next time.